This is ARK Descended, a hidden gem amongst overhaul mods, filled with hundreds of unique creatures, sharks that could fly, Dodo Rexes with arcane-like abilities. Oh, and that Parasaur over there, it has devilish-like powers. This mod is absolutely huge, and I only have 100 days to beat it. With 9 separate tiers to conquer, and over 100 separate bosses to defeat, how far can we get in this challenge? Welcome to my 100 days in ARK Descended. Welcome homies and homettes to another ARK modded adventure. We are playing on the map, The Center. We wake up to discover a weird item in our wrist. Then I was greeted by one of the locals. Of course. I'll use the normal raptor. He didn't seem so friendly. I have a strange feeling that this mod is going to be quite the challenge. I then respawned and ran down the beach, where we encountered our first modded creature. Oh my god, that's a phoenix. Oh, they're friendly. After discovering these phoenixes were friendly, my chat dared me to do this. Punch it? Bet. After making a bad decision by being influenced by my chat, I respawned and was immediately pounced on. It's not exactly my favorite way to be pounced on, but sometimes we just have to take what we get. Next, I found this strange looking Dodo with a top hat. Hey, descended little Dodo. Hey, what? That's not little. That's not little. Oh, shoot. Yeah, that happened. We had spawned at a different location that seemed kind of peaceful. So with this, I did a typical ARK start by gathering stones off the ground and taking my frustrations out on this tree. For thatch and wood, obviously. That I then turned into a stone pick to smash this Dwayne Johnson so we could make ourselves this hatchet and this reusable spear. Also, while I waited, I crafted up a whole bunch of my jibbies. This is just an easy way to get some easy, cheesy first levels. It also makes us walk like we're busting to go to the toilet, but also trying not to run. Do you ever have those moments? Once we had gained and allocated a whole bunch of levels, I went to go and inspect all of the engrams. All right, what have we unlocked? Any modded stuff unlocked yet? Because typically this is a good way to have a look to see exactly how we can progress through the mod. Except only being level 18 really doesn't tell us much. I could level up a little bit more and found at level 20 we had unlocked a bunch of the modded engrams, which include some of the descended metal tools, the descended smithy, a bunch of potions, and a whole lot of other things. I saw some text floating in the air and went to go investigate, but as I got closer, I started sparkling like the vampires from Twilight. Why am I glowing? Last time I sparkled this hard, it was Pride Month. I then got jumped by a homophobic raptor, so I brought out my inner blue-haired Gen Zer and stabbed it in the face. Ooh, we might win this, we might win this. Oh, we won it. This then gave us a bunch of hide, which I considered to use to make a raft, but we didn't quite have enough. We had survived what seems to be our longest time in this little playthrough, but since we've been deleted so many times already, I didn't really know what I needed to do right now. So instead, we just explored through the jungle, maybe see if there was anything we could tame. Wait, some stuff are passive tames, right? You? No. We had made it to the edge of this jungle and gotten up quite high. So I jumped off the side of this cliff and engaged my parachute. I landed in this water and then started swimming for my life to try and make it to the other side to this island. I started swimming towards this bright light that's under the water, not knowing exactly what it was until it was too late. Oh, shoot! After an electrifying death, we respawn on the beach and now it's day 2. I then go through the beginning motions once again, collecting all the resources. Then out of nowhere, I got chased down by an aggressive Lystro. Is that an aggressive Lystro? Oh man. Only to soon run into a Dodo Wyvern. Go away. Later on in the day, I encountered this descended Dodo. And these guys are tamed passively, which means all I need to do is shove some berries right up its butt. In a purely non-aggressive consensual way. It only needed to be fed twice, but it took a while until we could feed it again. Once it was tamed, I realized you could ride it. Yeah! And boy is this overgrown prehistoric chicken fast. It's safe to say, I think these dodos are pretty damn cool. We ran around on this thing for basically the entire day. I wanted to explore the map and see what other creatures were around, and also look for a decent location to build our starter base. We were on the back of this dodo running around like crazy that it's actually the end of day 2 already. This right here is the Red Magic 10 Pro. Now, before I promote this to all of you guys, I want to make sure it's actually good. Okay, so I've played around with this phone for a few days now, and I have to say, it's pretty epic. Now, I could easily tell you how this thing has the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, the Ice X cooling system with 11-layer structure cooling, whatever that means. Let me show you all the really cool, juicy gamer features. 144 refresh rate gives you the competitive gaming advantage. 100 watts of fast charging, and at a max, it gives you 52 hours of battery life, or even 18 hours of continuous video watching, which means you could watch this video 9 times in a row without your battery dying. Or even any one of these beautiful videos you could watch over and over and over. Shoulder triggers. The phone has shoulder triggers. This phone makes gaming effortless and much easier with these clean and easy to use shoulder triggers. Trust me, these are a huge game changer for mobile gaming. Finally, one of my favorite features, Mora. She's my waifu. I mean, my virtual assistant. Listen, by now you guys definitely know what to do. Hit that link in the description. Check out the Red Magic 10 Pro now. Shout out to Red Magic for sponsoring this video. Man, this phone is freaking sick. Day 3 and this little island that we landed on seems pretty safe. So I decided we're going to set up our starter base right here. I start with 4 little wooden foundations. Then I place down this cooking pot that we got out of a drop, followed by a forge and a campfire to start cooking up some meat. Next, I use this speedy little Dodo to get over to the Blue Obelisk Island, because if we can get to this top area right here, there's a bunch of metal nodes located here. I'm currently only using a stone pickaxe, so I only grab a little bit of metal. Then with that metal, I quickly return back to my base to start cooking it up in our forge, wait a short little moment, then craft up a smithy, place it on our base. Then I make this metal pickaxe so we can return to the metal node on the Blue Obelisk Island and collect a whole bunch more metal than we did before, because obviously this metal tool is better. There was also a bunch of crystal here as well, so I figured I might as well pick some of this up while we're here. Next, I made Nano Spyglass. This is a new spyglass mod that I've recently been introduced to, and I like it a little bit better than the awesome spyglass mod that I've used previously. You can customize a whole bunch of features to suit your own playstyle. The UI is pretty clean, but most importantly, you can now see the traits of the creatures that you're looking at. There's not many other spyglass mods that do that currently. This little Dodo that we're riding is seriously carrying us through the beginning of this playthrough. So much so that it can fight things and absolutely destroy some little creatures. Managed to take out that raptor quite easily, but I don't think I'm going to be messing with this unreal Dilo anytime soon. After a little bit of mayhem running around, I return back to base to make the descended smithy. It's very colorful to say the least. What in the Lord? Once we make a new interesting crafting bench, I always like to have a look around inside it to see exactly what we can make. I saw that we could make these descended tools, and with these tools you can harvest 5 times more resources. Of course, I had to make the descended pickaxe, quickly followed by the descended hatchet. Straight away I tested it out against this palm tree. Yo, that's pretty good. So many times in other playthroughs I always forget to place down a bed. This time I have not forgotten, so we can respawn here whenever we're deleted. Looking back in the descended smithy, I went through and saw all the different kibbles that you could make, and I soon realized this is going to be a grind with all the resources we need just to make some of these kibbles. With that being said, we jump on the back of our ancient chicken and head to the mainland in search of some resources, specifically cementing paste from these beaver dams. This beaver dam was protected by some Dodo Rexes. Dodo Rex. So I jumped off this Dodo and went to rush to the beaver dam. Well, look on the bright side. At least we placed a bed down. I wasn't sure if my Dodo had died, so I checked my tribe log, only to realize I hadn't made a tribe yet. Of course, we named our tribe Dodo Gang. Also, I'm pretty sure our Dodo didn't make it. And I think it's time we get our butt into gear and trying to tame something else. As we make a crossbow, then a mortar and pestle so we can start making narcotics, then a bunch of bowlers so we can trap whatever we're trying to tame. Day 4, after crafting a bunch of narcotics, I swam across the water over to the Blue Obelisk Island to try and tame something. Maybe something like this purple Parasaur. Some of the creatures in this mod are passive tames. This particular one is, but I just don't have the required food for it since it's the excellent tier. There was this blue drop nearby, and it had some pretty decent gear inside. That's actually a really good drop. Right next to it was this ordinary Parasaur that would accept my berries as food. Passive Parasaur tame? I'll take it. I fed it once and just had to wait until it was hungry again. Unfortunately, the Parasaur got into a fight with a little Lystro, so in a moment of frustration, I smashed this Lystro in the head with my hatchet. This whole scenario caused the Parasaur to not be tameable anymore. Next, I approached this Pteranodon to see if it was a passive tame. Doesn't seem like it. I returned back to the Parasaur, but when I approached, I saw that it was all bloodied and damaged up. But then I also noticed this. This caused my inner Diddy instincts to kick in. All I had to do was eliminate this parent, and this child was mine to do whatever I pleased with it. I then faced a difficult challenge of getting this child all the way back to our base. Hopefully it can swim. We began crossing this channel of water. It wasn't a far distance, but anything could come out of nowhere and kill this baby. I managed to check back on it a couple times to make sure it was close, and was just praying that nothing was coming in to attack us. Oh no, there's one of those thingies. I safely made it to shore, but now we have to wait to see if this little Parasaur will make it as well. Come on. Epic. Once I arrived back at our little base, I made one of these dino balls and put this Parasaur away safely. Kind of think I maybe should have done this earlier, but you live and you learn. Geared up with a bunch of taming equipment, I went to head over to the mainland with the intention to tame something else, possibly a flyer or something. But once again, we overestimated the dangers of this ocean. Just when with this... You're kidding me, bro. This game, bro. We had quite a bit of gear on us as well, and we essentially just lost it all. I knew if we didn't want to lose our stuff again, I'm gonna have to make this personal grave so we can retrieve our inventory once we die. It requires a little bit of cementing paste, which we don't currently have, but I do know I could make some if I had some stone and some chitin. I was able to make one single cementing paste with the keratin that I had. I then quickly crafted up a whole bunch of gear, which includes a crossbow, some arrows, a grapple hook, and a parachute, because this little bit of gear will get us into this cave. Using my parachute to stick closer to the ceiling, I was able to stay out of harm's way from some of the creatures in this cave. And in this cave, there were scorpions and spiders that we could kill and harvest them for chitin. But as I was shooting this scorpion, I realized something rather important. Oh, I didn't bring any tools! Can't even harvest it. I still managed to execute this scorpion. Now we just have to figure out some tools. Luckily for us, in this cave here, there's a tree. How it grows and photosynthesizes, I have no idea. And with this, I was able to make a stone pickaxe and harvest the body of this scorpion, which I don't think was enough chitin. We then found this dung beetle, which I decided to shoot in its back. Then it started chasing me. Getting chased by an aggressive dung beetle is kind of like getting chased by an aggressive chihuahua. They think they're fierce, they're just really not. But this should give us the chitin that we need. I then started heading out of the cave, but then I heard this. Are you kidding me? Big scary dragon and a Rex hanging out right outside of the cave? What am I supposed to do? Guess we're just gonna be hanging out like Spider-Man. I then took a risk and just went for it, praying that these guys won't aggro on me. I then ran through the jungle to try and avoid attracting the dragon or the Rex again. Then beelined it straight for my base. I made it back safely so I could immediately start crafting up the cementing paste. Then the personal gravestone, which with this, every time we die, we can regain our inventory. Just like this. Day 5 and our once little Parasaur is now fully grown up. So I saddle him up and put him to work. Basically just harvesting all the berries from the bushes around this little island. He wasn't gathering too many from these little bushes, so we went over to the blue obelisk island to gather berries from the thick bushes. We had now gathered a ton of narco berries that we could use to make a whole bunch of narcotics. Next we had someone come over and visit us because we're playing on a server that I host. Mostly when I play with other people, I'll invite them to our alliance. But first I had to make an alliance, which we called Dodo Gang. I couldn't invite them to the alliance currently because the settings on the server were kind of messed up. My bad, but we managed to fix that later on in the video. I then went out to go and try and tame another Dodo. Because they're so fast and zippy, they're a great early game tame. I then saw this ordinary Pteranodon. Apparently I can passive tame these guys too. I went to go feed it. Oh, yeah. We managed to get our stuff back thanks to the personal gravestone, but unfortunately, our new Dodo is dead. Currently, we're a little bit stale in our progression, and I think the next best step is to tame a flyer. I had my eyes set on this Pteranodon, but it was just a little bit out of reach for us. So I continued our hunt to go and search for something else. I managed to encounter this ordinary Pteranodon. Holding my grapple hook in hand, I had a light bulb moment. If I could grapple up to one of these flyers that are passive tames, I could essentially tame it just by gripping onto it. So with that, we began the process of taming this ordinary Pteranodon with the use of my parachute and grapple hook. We were able to feed it once, but then it landed on the ground, which caused the raptor to come and jump on its head. Move! PT fly! Now because of that, it would have reset the whole taming process, and it flew away anyway. I didn't want to die, so we escaped. Next, I jumped on the back of this Parasaur and then went exploring. That's when I remembered some of these phoenixes are passive tames also. Descended Phoenix. Wait, isn't that the one I can tame? You see, there's currently 2 versions of Phoenixes, the Descended Phoenix and the Devilish Phoenix. The Devilish Phoenix I wouldn't be able to tame, but the Descended version I can. And taming this was a lot quicker and easier than the Pteranodon. As its hunger levels just kept dropping, we could just keep feeding it over and over and over until it was completely tamed and we can ride it because it doesn't require a saddle. We had now successfully mastered the disguise by taming a glorified parrot. It also had a pretty neat fire attack that messed up some of these lower tier creatures. Day 6 with our new fiery feathered friend, we went exploring, mostly to scope out some possible base locations and occasionally running into other players on the server. Who is that? Kills it. Hey, on a boat. Pineapple. This bird also allowed us to reach some greater heights with some decent resources. We even managed to get on top of Skull Island and get some obsidian. We spent so much time exploring and getting resources that it's already the end of day 6. But we're pretty stacked on metal now. We just needed to cook. Day 7, our main mission today was to find our forever base. We scouted out some of these old abandoned ruins and even considered building up on one of these tall peaks to try and stay away from all the dangers down below. This was a harder decision than I expected. So whilst I was waiting and thinking, I went and gathered a whole bunch of resources knowing I'm going to need a bunch to be able to build the base. Pineapples also came over to visit, but he got his boat stuck somehow. Gotta love ARK bugs. I'm just grateful this wasn't me. I even considered to come build over here on this abandoned island, but we did this in my 100 Days in Anunnaki Ascended video, and I kind of want to change things up a bit. I came over to Redwoods, and one peek down at the floor there, I immediately knew this was not the place for us. Next, I learned a new skill that these phoenixes have. If you hold down spacebar, they go into the super speedy flight mode. It's pretty fast and a quick way to get around the map. We flew over the top of the swamp area, and down below was an absolute absolute war zone with a whole bunch of dragons destroying everything. This is when I realized maybe building out in the open isn't a good idea. So on day 8, I decided to build in this large ruin. This space here is pretty central on the map and it's quite spacious. To begin, I started smashing a whole bunch of rocks and clearing out all the shrubbery. Then of course I'm going to need a whole bunch of wood so I could begin building this base and placing down all the foundations that we're going to need. Oh yeah, we're also a twilight vampire once again. I think this happens to us whenever this Dodo is in our vicinity. But the boss thing's really annoying. If I go into first person, it doesn't take up our entire screen. So at least we can get rid of it at some point. We spent pretty much this entire day placing down this base. I then went back to our starter base so we could begin this move, collecting all the resources that we had gathered and the crafting benches, then placing them in our new base location. Once I placed down all the crafting benches, I realized I'm missing something rather important, and that's a fabricator. But in order to make one, I need some oil. So we come over to this little iceberg by the green obelisk to gather oil, which I learned you can harvest some of these resources with the phoenix. This makes collecting a bunch of resources a lot easier, but you don't gather as much as you would if you were to use your descended tools. Day 9 and we're running a little bit low on cementing paste. So we go and visit the beaver dams once again, but they're being protected by these Dodo Rexes, and I ain't about to mess with that. So instead I dive deep into this cave where I use this phoenix to burn alive a bunch of these bugs for their sweet chitin. After a full adventure out in the wilds, we return back to this half-built base where I could finally make this fabricator. Building inside this cave, I noticed it's kind of dark, but I could solve that issue quite easily with the generator that I can now make because we have a fabricator and some of these lampposts. This base is going to be a work in progress over this entire playthrough. And for all the guys that know the typical bases that I build, yes, I am also pretty disappointed I couldn't build that style of base. But in this mod, I'm pretty sure it would have got destroyed. Day 10, and I want to start cooking up a whole bunch of metal. We soon find out that we're going to need a crazy amount. Like, one thing that I need a whole bunch of metal for is this metal water system. Even though Ark Survival Ascended no longer uses pipes and they have a wireless system, I need to link up the water so it reaches my base somehow. I want to make it all out of metal, so I need more of these metal containers, but they also need cementing paste. I managed to find some beaver dams in a different location where I could semi-safely steal their cementing paste. I just had to be real damn quick, or I could just burn these little fur balls alive and steal the cementing paste without any worries. Now I just have to figure out how I'm going to make this water work. I was hoping that they could just attach to one of these ledges along this wall here. That explosion is the reason why I want to make it out of metal. If I made a stone variation, it'd probably get exploded. I wanted to test a theory. I wanted to see if I could make a stone foundation connect to the side of this wall. Once I realized yes it does, I went on to building this balcony that we would go on to use as our crop farm. This foundation in the side of the wall worked perfectly as well. You see, this crop farm we're going to turn into a greenhouse, and the greenhouse needs sunlight that comes directly from the sky, and it's not going to work in our cave. And as long as the creature didn't come through and blow up our greenhouse, this should work for us. Then to finish off this day 10, I placed down this dino depot terminal to keep all of our tames safe. Day 11, I went out to go and tame a descended Dodo. Why would I possibly need this? We already have flyers and other creatures. That's because descended Dodos passively generate resources in their inventory. And with that in mind, I thought I could put them in the dino terminal to passively generate the resources there. Basically, they generate this resource, Descendant Essence, which is required to craft a whole bunch of items in this mod. Next, I crafted the CS crafting station. I need this so I can build some of the CS crafting and building pieces, obviously. When I had sealed this part of my base in, I thought it was fine, but I quickly changed my mind. I think one singular behemoth gate here fits a lot nicer anyway. Later in the day, I was out exploring and destroying some excellent creatures. Not only because sometimes I'm a sadistic character, but they also drop some modded items that I need. I then arrived back at base only to be surprised by a phoenix just chilling inside. This was a completely wild phoenix, and it's the devilish tier as well, which is a lot stronger than the descended one that we're riding. I had to be careful because if I triggered this thing, it would explode my entire base. Hoping that the phoenix would just go away, we went back out to the wild to tame another descended Dodo. There was a baby right next to it, so we took that as well. Next, I traveled over to this cave so we could try and pick ourselves up a dung beetle. I had to evict some of the inhabitants once I arrived, and once I did, I spotted a little turd eater right here. I then fed him last night's dinner a couple times, and just like that, he became our best friend. I returned back to base to see this phoenix is still here. I needed to get rid of it, so I got its attention by biting it and quickly flew away. I managed to escape and our bird didn't die, but a large chunk of our base didn't survive. Wow. Thankfully, it was only a behemoth gate and a few foundations, and all of this was quite easy to repair or replace. Day 12, I checked my dino depot terminal and see a whole lot of fertilizer inside. I just don't see any of the other passive things that should be producing in there, like the descendant essence that comes from these dodos. What the crap? We do end up getting it to work eventually, but for now I'm just going to throw them out so they can just produce in their inventory. And if I have them attached to this hitching post, they should be able to produce it while I'm out of render or logged offline. Next, I changed this whole greenhouse area into metal building pieces. Hopefully some of these creatures can't destroy metal, but in modded ARK, you never know. With the metal ceilings down, it's time to now place in these crop plots. I currently don't have any seeds for our crops, so we're in the jungle right now collecting them. It doesn't hurt to stock up on some of the narco berries while we're here as well. It's now day 13 and someone in my Twitch chat decided they wanted to name my phoenix Charles. Now, slight spoiler, but Charles becomes one of our most important tames in this 100 days. We are now level 84, which means we've unlocked a whole bunch of other engrams. Ew, what is all this stuff? But because this mod is so extensive, there's so many other engrams that we are yet to unlock. I think it's about time we start taking this serious and start progressing through this mod. And in order for us to be able to make excellent kibble, I need to challenge the excellent essence boss. It's just a blue glowing dodo. A little bit risky, but I was just hoping myself and Charles could handle business. Raining hellfire down on this dodo seemed to be effective. Having the ability to fly and shoot fireballs down from the skies makes defeating this excellent essence boss rather quick and easy. Now here's the next step for our progression. We need to tame this excellent dodo that summons in after it's dead. Quite simply, we just have to shove some berries up its butt, 2 to be exact, and it is now ours. You see, now this excellent dodo will produce excellent essence inside its inventory. This is the only way to get this resource, and is one of the ingredients we need to make excellent kibble, so that we can tame the next tier creatures. But whilst we wait for some excellent essence to produce in that dodo's inventory, I went to go collect some resources around the place to stock up my forges, and then began working on our greenhouse. We ran into a little problem though. Our greenhouse walls wouldn't attach to this one edge, so I placed down what I could and then started placing some pillars down to the ground so that this could act as a foundation, which would then allow us to place in these walls. It's a little bit scuffed as it is, but that greenhouse effectiveness is at 300%, and that's all that matters. I did manage to add some lighting out here. Like I said, it gets a little bit dark in these nights. The generator didn't reach outside, so I had to replace it. Hey, that's kind of nicely lit. Day 14, I went to go check to see what ingredients I needed for this excellent kibble, and we had mostly everything we needed, except we were a little bit short on citronal. Now it's just a waiting game for the citronal to grow. Whilst we waited, I wanted to see if I could fight and destroy this ordinary Rex. And honestly, these phoenixes in this early game are really OP. We were destroying so many creatures, and for this early in the game and such an easy tame, I thought this was kind of OP. As we progress through this mod, we find out this is nothing. There's so much to this mod that we have barely touched the surface already on day 14. Once I returned back to base, I went to go check my citronal plant and noticed we had 9 citronal in there, which is currently only enough for 1 kibble, and it's not enough to really tame anything decent. After looking through some of the ingredients for some of the other kibbles, eventually we're going to need ourselves some jerky. So with that, I placed down this descended preserving bin so I could start producing some meat jerky. It didn't really give us instructions on how to use this, and it took us a little while to figure out. We had all the ingredients in there, but it wasn't working. Turns out to fuel it, you need to have descended essence in there. I think. We couldn't tell if that was working or not. I went and flew around the map for a little bit, and then I came back to see if the preserving bin had been working at all, and nothing had seemed to have happened. So I don't know if this was working or not. Thanks to the cyberstructures mod, we have other ways to be able to get ourselves some jerky easily. First, I need the cyberstructures fabricator so that I could make the cyberstructures industrial grill, because with this industrial grill and all the right ingredients, we can easily make the jerky. Damn, that was a lot of work just to make some jerky. And through all of those jerky making shenanigans, it gave us enough time to grow some more of these citronals, and with that we were able to make a few of these excellent kibbles, which on day 15 we went out to the worlds to try and find ourselves the perfect excellent tame. What is that over there you see? I bet you're curious. Well, basically in this mod, some of the boss fights are quite intense, and we have to kind of enclose them in, and because if we did them out in the wild, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't want to break other people's bases and stuff. So this is a boss arena that comes with a separate mod. This way anyone on the server can fight big crazy bosses in there, and it kind of doesn't mess up anything else in this world. Flying around, we came across this. Ooh, excellent Tente Rex. Now I just have to hope I have the means to actually be able to knock this out. Oh, it's going to reach me. Shit. Well, I guess not. Back at base, I crafted up a whole bunch of these advanced trank arrows. They're supposed to deal a lot more torpor than just the normal trank arrows, so hopefully with these we can knock this excellent Rex out. I returned back to where we had died to find this excellent Rex, but it wasn't there. I searched around on foot, peeked around this rock, and there he was. Managed to get one shot in, and we did a fair bit of torpor. Tried to escape using my grapple hook, but we were too slow. I returned on the back of Charles and tried to use this high ground as an advantage to be able to shoot this thing and knock him out. Using my grapple hook to hang onto the side of this wall, we got really close and managed to escape just in time. I quickly realized that we just weren't doing enough torpor to knock this thing out, and the fact that it keeps running away is going to make this so much more difficult. I tried to chase it down on foot, but then I accidentally ran into these lightning Dodo Rexies. Ah, you bum. If we plan on trying to tame some of these stronger creatures, I'm going to need a little bit of help and a little bit of extra preparation. Something maybe like this excellent armor. I had enough resources to make it, so I put it all together, and this is what it looks like. I gotta say, the textures and the glow is kind of cool. I'm a fan. Since we were doing such little torpor, I had to add the upgrade bench mod. I really wanted to hold out using this, but if just the excellent tier has so much torpor and it's already so hard to knock them out, I desperately needed something that would help us out a little bit. So with that, we upgraded this primitive crossbow all the way up to the ascended tier. This paired with these modded tranks should give us the advantage to be able to knock out some of these stronger creatures. I just gotta find one that's not surrounded by a whole bunch of other crazy creatures that can absolutely munch us. We're gonna call this island Epstein Island. It's not safe for anybody. Day 16, we found our first excellent creature that we could tame. Well, attempt to at least. This excellent Triceratops. I'm trying to use these trees as cover to stop it from hitting me. And whilst I duck and weave, I just shoot it with my tranks. Sometimes I do get hit, but our excellent armor protects us quite well. I managed to get the final shot right in between its bum cheeks and put it down. I then feed it some of this excellent kibble, and now we wait for it to be our best friend. This takes quite the while, but then I look through the engram list and see this. A hungry potion that will allow us to tame this quicker. We didn't really need it in the end. It would have taken us too long to get back to base, and this tamed up pretty quickly anyway. Now, this excellent trike should be pretty decent at gathering berries. With the saddle on its back, we then test this theory out. I found the thickest shrubbery I could find, and man, we were gathering so many berries. I accidentally ran into some creatures. Hopefully they don't kill us. Yeah, if you've noticed, a lot of the creatures in this mod are really fast, which makes it really handy that when we hear these explosions, we're able to get out of there really quick. We spent most of this day gathering so many berries. This is how many we got. I'm pretty sure we're set for narco berries for quite a while. I learned that there's a descended fabricated sniper rifle that we could use to knock out some creatures. This is really expensive to make, and we couldn't do it just yet anyway. But apparently there is a way to be able to get one early. We're just gonna have to figure out what that is a little bit later. Day 17, I realized all I needed was some citronal and some sweet vegetable cake to be able to make unreal kibble. I had all the other ingredients. Now, the unreal tier of creature is one step above the excellent tier. I just assumed that I needed excellent creatures to be able to have some sort of resource in order to be able to make the unreal kibble. To make the sweet vegetable cake, though, is quite the process. I need a whole other bunch of resources so I can get all the stuff together to be able to make it. One resource that I'm quite low on is cementing paste. The beaver dams are always protected by something dangerous, so I need another way to be able to get some. Chitin and stone just seems to be the best way. And these large carcanotes always give us a ton of chitin as well as polymer. So that's a win-win. I jumped into the ocean to tame this excellent Abyssal. I'm gonna need biotoxin eventually, and Abyssalos are really good at collecting it since they don't get damaged by the jellyfish. I need biotoxin to make the next level of trank arrows. I'm making these particular trank arrows right now because there's an important creature right outside my base that I want to tame. This descended Griffin. Since it's a level 150, I know it's going to be strong. I thought maybe I could just shoot it and dodge and weave, but I don't think that strategy is going to work too well. What I need is a good old-fashioned Griffin trap and enough balls to actually try and trap this thing in there. Yes, get in, get in, get in. No, you stuck in here. Come in, come in, come in, come in, come in, come in. All right, okay, so now we got a problem. Or do we? No, we don't. I can get out here. Yes, we did it, chat. We did it. We got knocked out. We got knocked out. We got knocked out. I mean, we don't have it knocked out. We got it there. We have this purple bird trapped in this magnificent trap. Now all we need to do is put this girl to sleep. Once we got Big Bird to sleep, I removed the trap because I'm mindful that we're on a server and I don't want to make a mess. Then I went back to base to stare at my behemoth gate while we waited. The taming process is taking quite a while, so then we went to this area and used my Bassie to explore through the ocean here. 1, to look for trilobites, and 2, to collect this juicy biotoxin. No jellyfish was safe in this instance. As I returned to shore, I saw one of the ninja turtles right over there and some dead jellyfish. So I used my magic tool to harvest it and gathered a whole bunch of biotoxin. Anyways, back to the ninja turtle. I could just passive feed it some excellent kibble, and just like that, it was tamed. This is already a better alternative to our Bassie. It's day 18 and this Griffin still hasn't tamed yet. I guess I'm gonna have to whip out one of these hungry potions. I shoved this green juice straight down its throat, wait a couple seconds, and now it is ours. With this Griffin, taming creatures is gonna be so much easier. Holy Lord. There we... Wait, they grounded me? No. No. I'm stunned. Bro, I just got this freaking thing. Bro, are you kidding? What just did that? Well, yeah. Damn. This mod is brutal, and you are punished severely for making the wrong mistakes. With that being said, I am now more determined than ever to tame this excellent Rex. Surely from this high ground, I'm safe enough here to be able to knock it out. I was doing a fair bit of torpor damage, but then it raced over to me and actually bit me. I survived only because of my excellent armor, but somehow it does damage over time, and I still died. With this being said, this excellent Rex is definitely the right thing for us to tame right now. I went to chase it down in the jungle, then I saw a glowing skeleton Rex. I ran, jumped, tried to get out of the way, looked down, Ah, you sucker! I'm just too good. Get out of town, son. With 3 Rexes below me, I took this opportunity to shoot it and try and knock this one out. What do you want? Stupid. Dodged it. This one remained on the run, and I couldn't really chase it down right now because it was surrounded by so many other Rexes. But once it returned to try and get me, it gave me another opportunity to try and knock it out. I managed to knock it out in the water. Now I just have to somehow get down there and then feed it its kibble. I figured I'm just gonna have to straight bum rush it. I fed it the hungry potion and its kibble, but the other excellent Rex came to fight. It fully tamed up, but it wasn't fighting it back. I tried to put it in the Dino Ball, but it wouldn't work. With the Dino Ball settings, if a creature is damaged, you can't put them away in the Dino Balls. It was pretty safe to say that our Rex had died as well. We're kind of low on kibble, so I had to make some more. I flew back over to where we had tamed that Rex and confirmed our Rex is dead. There's still another Rex here though, but it was too far away for us to shoot, and I figured I'd just try and find something else for now. I just Spider-Man myself away, got Charles out, and then flew away. I eventually found this level 140 excellent Rex right next to a cliffside, which means I have the perfect place to perch up next to by attaching to the wall and shooting it in its butt. We managed to get quite a few shots off, but once again, it was a little scaredy cat and would run away. It's okay though, because I managed to chase it down and knock it out. Still stocked up with hungry potions, I managed to feed it that, then give it the kibble it desired, and it was now tamed. We had now finally tamed ourselves an excellent Rex. In theory, this should be a game changer. Having powerful Rexes like this really help push you forward in progress. In short, the answer was yes. We were able to kill a lot of creatures, and even get revenge on the Rex from earlier that ruined our day. Super satisfying when you destroy them like this. Day 19, the perfect partner to our Rex appeared right next to our base. Once I dismounted my Rex, I got its attention. Then I ran into the water and started swimming for my life. Using the grapple hook to get myself across quickly, I knew I could get away and deep enough to try and shoot this big Rex. I thought I was done for, but somehow I survived. These guys do not like the water. Indeed, the water slows this thing down, which gives me a massive advantage. And since it can't swim down, I could just swim to the bottom of this water and it can't eat me. Just like that, I managed to knock out this Rex. I wasn't quite prepared to tame this thing just yet, so I had to return back to base and make some more kibble. And just like magic, we now have ourselves a breeding pair of excellent Rexes. Now that they're breeding, we just have to wait. There's really not much else we can do right now. Except I do come up with an idea to keep ourselves busy. It just requires a quick pit stop over at the Redwoods. We got one of these tree platforms and a bunch of these tree sap taps, as well as a public teleporter here that we can use to return here whenever we need, so we can collect the juicy tree sap, which is one of the ingredients we need to make the sweet vegetable cake. I then head back over to the iceberg to go and collect some more polymer from these defenseless, helpless penguins. Normally, I'd feel bad about bombing them in the head like this, but then I remembered they're not real, and penguins are ugly birds anyway. Like, bro, you can't even fly. I also remembered that I should be using these descended tools to gather the resource off these bodies. These tools are so good, dude. See, even in-game me agrees. With the soon new arrival of our new babies, I need air conditioners so I can hatch these guys. Well, will you look at that? We had a couple ready to hatch. Day 20 and one of our Rexes had fully grown up. So with that, we now have an imprinted excellent Rex. In theory, it should be pretty strong. We took on this Alpha Raptor to test its might, and I think it's fair to say if we can take down an Alpha Raptor, we're doing pretty good. Our progress is progressing, which means we're going to need a teleporter for our base. I imagine we're going to start taming a lot of creatures, so we're going to be out and about a lot, and I want to just get back to base quickly. Next, I crafted the Cyberstructure's Gardener. She can collect all of our crops. That's basically all she does. But to power her, I need beer. Kind of weird to know that one of my employees is an alcoholic, but I do suppose if anyone wanted to pay me in beer, I'd probably take it as well. We now had a couple Rexes fully grown up, so I wanted to test them out against the boss. First, I had to get them out, level them up a little bit, and try and heal them with these tiny health potions. By the way, these health potions suck. They don't really do very well at all. They're kind of useless. It's now day 21, and we're finally ready to summon in this boss. It takes a little while for it to summon in, but once it summons in, it's this little flying Dimorphodon. Myself and my Rexes went in to fight this thing, but my Rexes were getting chomped. Then all of a sudden, it was just me and this loot boss. I tried to do my best, but it was healing up. Oh yeah, no, we're not winning this at all. We were getting our butt kicked, and I knew that this battle was futile. I tried giving it one more chance, but the loot boss just kept healing. In the end, I just used our Rex's speed and ran away. There was really no point fighting this fight. It was healing up, and there was no way I could win. I accidentally teleported to my tree platform, so whilst I was here, I decided to take some of this tree sap. I guess if I want to fight this loot boss, I'm gonna need a whole army of excellent Rexes. With that being said, we're just gonna have to wait and find other things to do whilst our Rexes breed. Collecting resources is one way to keep busy, but then I remembered we also had the Archelon. I quickly made a saddle for it because it's a pretty special type of saddle. Went to the ocean, got it out, placed the saddle on it, and went swimming. Regarding the saddle, basically, if you're riding on this saddle, you have infinite oxygen because there's oxygen tanks on the back of it. And Archelons also do extra damage to jellyfish and are not affected by their sting. I bumped into a whole bunch of donkeys and I was killing one, but then its friends came in and things got a little bit hairy, so we decided to leave. I then flew to the waterfall area below the center island and used my Archelon to swim around down here. We collected a whole bunch of biotoxin from the jellyfish and some oil from this bacillo. Day 22, I checked my Dino depot terminal and see a whole bunch of eggs ready to hatch. Oh, we got eggs for days. Loot boss incoming? I think it's safe to say once this army grows up, we will go and get our revenge on the loot boss. But we're gonna have to wait a little while until we can do that because these babies do need to grow. There's a lot of times in this video that we just need to kill some time. Most of the time I just go out and collect a bunch of resources. I do need a ton of metal anyway for some of the things that I have planned. So we do collect a whole bunch of that. And luckily for us, this excellent armor gives us a weight buff. So it makes it a little bit easier to cart this stuff back and forwards to our forges. Next, we finally had enough metal to be able to make this, the industrial cooker. This is what we're gonna use to be able to make ourselves some of that sweet vegetable cake. By the end of this day, we had a whole bunch of these Rexes fully grown up. So with this, I teleported over to the boss fighting arena. Once we were inside, I realized how large this place actually was. Now we just have to get this whole excellent Rex army out and prepare them to fight this loot boss. Day 23 and we're ready to fight this loot boss. I'm pretty sure this army will suffice. Once it's summoned in, I whistled all of these Rexes to start munching away. They got this little Dimorphodon completely surrounded. Okay. My Rexes got it stuck. Hey, we killed it! Now that we had defeated this loot boss, I needed to find out exactly which one of these Rexes collected the loot. And if it wasn't obvious, the loot boss drops a bunch of loot. A bunch of this loot was pretty good. We even got some free veggie cakes. But most importantly, we got this. Oh, I got a sniper? Oh, we got an ascended sniper! We got an ascended sniper! You see, the descended fabricated sniper rifles, you can only make when you're a few tiers ahead of where we are. And the icing on the cake is the fact that this is an ascended one. At this moment in time, I was pretty excited about this though. The ascended descendant metal hatchet. So damn excited, I came straight back to base and made it. Next, I made this chemistry bench, which is important for our very next step. Now that we have a fabricated sniper, well, it's gonna need bullets. And to make bullets, we need to make spark powder, then gunpowder. It's a whole ass process. Thankfully, because we've been cooking up so much metal, we already have a ton of charcoal. Next, we need to make a bunch of advanced sniper bullets that we could then turn into these trank sniper bullets. They're pretty expensive to make, so I immediately go outside to test to see if they're worthwhile. One shot on this excellent Parasaur. Yo, that dropped it straight away. Yeah, this is already better than our crossbow. Next, I quickly whipped up some excellent kibble and went out to tame this excellent Pteranodon. One shot and it was down. With the aim of God right here. Now, you're probably wondering, Aaron, why do you need another flyer? You have Charles. Well, the answer is rather simple. Charles can't pick anything up. And our goal right now is to tame some snails so they can produce us some passive cementing paste. And since they're in the swamp and the swamp is super dangerous in this mod, I needed something fast and quick that could swoop in and pick something up. With my keen eye, I managed to find one, swoop in, and kidnap it. I arrived back at base, but now I have to tame it. Problem is, I was kind of worried that my fabricated sniper would kill it. So instead, I decided to knock it out with our crossbow. One hit, and it was asleep. And because we collected that veggie cake from the loot boss, we now had the means to tame it. Now we shouldn't have to worry about cementing paste. With the leftover veggie cake I had, I could now make some unreal kibble. So obviously, I went out to try and tame an unreal creature. Somebody in chat suggested I try and tame an unreal shark because apparently they can fly. Speaking of sharkies, now all I need to do is safely land and do enough torpor damage before it can eat us. One shot, we already did half of its torpor. It then started charging us and I thought I was gonna die. I quickly reloaded and started unloading. I'm not very good at shooting. Call of Duty was never my game. But hey, we managed to put this flying shark to sleep and successfully tame it. We got an Unreal Megalodon. Day 24, we returned back to base and got our Unreal Megalodon out. Once I opened its inventory and placed the saddle on it, this appeared. Unreal Essence? Oh, so once it's got a... Oh, wait, it just produces Unreal Essence? So similar to the descended Dodo, Unreal creatures produce this essence inside their inventory. Of course, since now we have a flying shark... Flying shark is out of control, bro. I had to go test this beast out. It bites pretty hard, even against these excellent creatures. And because it's an unreal creature, it has an ability that gives it a chance for creatures to miss their attacks, which, if used correctly, can be pretty OP. Or if you're a complete idiot like myself and get sniped out of the sky by a poison basilisk, this could happen. I was pretty concerned that we just lost our Unreal Megalodon. I raced back there as quick as possible to see if it was still alive. And it was. I tried to whistle it to come and join me, but it wanted to fight this Dodo Rexy. Sharky's so fast, Sharky might win. The Unreal Megalodon secured a W, so I jumped on its back and it was time to get our butts out of there. As I was flying through the skies, I remembered I'm on a shark, so we went straight down into the bottom of the ocean. Also, this shark has a ranged attack that's pretty deadly if I could aim and actually hit things. Well, I can when it's at close range. On that little runabout out and about, we managed to collect a whole bunch of items. A lot of stuff that I've not seen before. I'm sure it's all going to be important for our success. But for now, I'm just going to prepare for a visit at an American high school and craft some more bullets for my rifle. My next goal, I want to make one of these things. This is the Descended Industrial Forge. It's currently hella expensive to make, and I checked my Dino Depot terminal to see if there was any cementing paste in there, and it kind of seemed like my snail wasn't making any cementing paste. Wait a second. Why have we not been producing cementing paste? Yeah, my admin pineapples broke the mod. I blame him. Day 25 and we got a visit from a waifu. What in the Lord? Holy waifu. This is Toaster, and they wanted to be added to the alliance. Also, Pineapples fixed this whole cementing paste issue, and the Dino Depot terminal was able to produce cementing paste. It wasn't a lot, but it'll do. Now I decided to go out on the hunt to tame another unreal creature. We found two down there, an unreal Yeti and an unreal direwolf. The unreal direwolf just wrecked this Tyrannosaurus, so of course I have to tame that. Too bad my aim is about as good as that guy at the Trump rally. I managed to get its attention and it started to run over to us, but when it ducked too far underneath this cliff, I had to find another angle. I seriously love grapple hooks. They're just the best invention in this game. Anyways, Unreal Puppy goes to sleep. Before I could feed it, I got my Unreal Shark out to kind of protect us. Hopefully a little bit better job than the Secret Service. The Unreal Direwolf's asleep there, but we just need to clear out all of these other aggressive creatures. Then I could feed this Direwolf the kibble and wait for it to tame. Once successfully tamed, I was pretty damn excited, so I had to jump on its back and test this beast out. It absolutely destroyed this rhino. Okay. Wolf pretty PogChamp. How well could it keep up against most of the other creatures in this area? As you can probably already tell, a lot of the creatures around here are pretty strong. We even tested it out against this Devilish Mantis, which is the next tier up from the Unreal tier. And because our attacks do damage over time, we absolutely decimated this Devilish Mantis. Then once we killed it, we got some items that I'd never seen before. This Devilish Soul. This is an important resource that we need to be able to progress to the Devilish tier. But before we do that, we went to take down some more creatures and tame this pink spiny Anki. Now this is no normal Anki. This is a miner Anki. And we all know I do love myself a miner. Things that harvest stone and metal are also great too. I fed this Anki a bunch of berries and just stood here waiting for it to tame up. Quite a risky experiment, but hey, we did survive and it did tame. Psych, I was murdered by this Unreal Sabertooth. I returned back to our death location on the back of Charles and found that the miner Anki was fully tamed up and no Unreal Sabertooth in sight. Honestly, I didn't want to wait around and find out. I put Charles away in a dino ball, followed quickly by the miner Anki. Then I parachuted myself to a safer distance to where I could teleport back home. Day 26, I inspected everything that I needed to make this Devilish kibble. And because we collected that Devilish soul from that Devilish Mantis, we can pretty much make one. One single kibble probably isn't enough for us to be able to tame anything right now. So instead, I decided to spend the day harvesting metal with this miner Anki. Now, what exactly makes the miner Anki different? Well, obviously, it harvests resources a lot quicker, but also similar to your tools, it has a multiplier on it as well. So it'll harvest more resources than a vanilla variant would. It also has boosted weight stats as well, which obviously helps when you're trying to farm a whole lot of metal. One single run and we almost got 10,000 metal. Unfortunately, we got to cook it up in these primitive forges. We really need to start working towards the industrial forge. Next, I made one of these kibbles. Maybe we will find a creature that we could tame with one single kibble. I don't know. But if we have one on us, at least we can make it. Next, I made this beehive. In the ARK Descended workbench, you can craft a beehive. You don't have to go out and tame any bees. This excellent Dodo also produces rare flowers in its inventory, which we use to feed to the beehive to then generate honey. Later on the day, I went out on my direwolf to do some exploring. See if we could tame anything else that's kind of interesting. Maybe something like this Devilish Dinosuchus. Oh my, I'm getting melted! Yeah, we're dead. We're dead. GG's. Mistakes were made, okay? We also lost this Unreal Direwolf for nothing. You see, at the time I was playing this, I didn't realize, but this Dinosuchus requires 3 Devilish kibble, which I can't make right now. Day 27, I returned back to base to make some more of these bullets. Only so I could return back to this Devilish Dinosuchus that I can't actually tame. I was shooting it from a pretty good distance to make sure that I was safe. Welcome to modded ARK, where you're not safe even when you think you are. I saw this Devilish Parasaur next to my base and figured I could probably beat it up with my Unreal Megalodon, because I knew if I could kill this, I could make some more Devilish kibble. And there goes our Unreal Megalodon. At this point of the game, I'm starting to realize how brutal this mod can be when you try and rush ahead. I really need to start slowing down the pace and maybe start breeding some of these creatures so that I have backups when they die. Also, I'm sure a Griffin's going to help us out in this playthrough significantly. This Ascendant sniper rifle helped us get this thing down without having to use a trap. Hopefully this one survives a little longer than the last one did. Did the Theory just kill the Griffin? Oh my lord. Fuck this game, bro. We may not have been able to tame that Griffin, but we are able to tame this biotoxin bug jug. I'm assuming this thing can passively produce us some biotoxin. Next, I went ahead and tamed this Bob, this fancy pink spotted Phiomia. With the Dino Depot terminal playing up a little bit, I decided to just place this jug bug out and attach it to the hitching post. Day 28, and we're attempting to tame this Dinosuchus. It's the Unreal variant, so we can actually tame this one, assuming it doesn't bite my head off like this. Once I had returned, I thought it was asleep. No, it's not asleep. How do you tame these things? Also, I noticed it says it's a passive tame. Ah! If I could survive long enough, maybe I could figure out how to tame it. Apparently, I have to wait for its mouth to open, and then I throw the kibble inside its mouth. And hopefully not my bum cheeks in its mouth. But for scientific purposes, I wanted to see if I could just knock it out and tame it that way. Even though our aim was hot, we kept missing because of its special ability. We managed to knock it out though, and fed it the kibble. Then this hungry potion. Yes, you can knock out tame this. Love it. And it tamed up. A few people in the server have been telling me how good these Dinosuchuses are. So of course I had to see that for myself. And honestly, it's pretty decent, I guess. This might be stupid or really cool, but I wanted to test out this Gigabyte move against this Devilish Parasaur. Where's Gigabyte? Why can't I use it? Why aren't you doing anything? I probably should have learned how to use it before actually trying against something strong. Once I finally figured it out, I don't think it was as good as I was hoping, or I was doing it wrong. I came back over to this area on the border of the snow biome because I wanted to track down another one of these devilish creatures that I think I can kill. I decided to try and fight this devilish mantis, which was getting kind of wrecked from my bites and my damage over time attack. It started to look like we were going to win, but this crab came in and started helping this mantis out. This changed the game and our health was dropping rapidly. I managed to escape, but our stamina was completely depleted. The mantis jumped on me and destroyed myself and the Dinosuchus. It's now day 29, and let me show you exactly why we tamed Bob. Bob, you making milk? Oh my god, it makes milk. Why is this so funny? Well, that's because Bob here is a male. So this milk is a little sus. Flying along the beach near Blue Obelisk, we saw this descended Griffin. Hopefully this one will survive. I also managed to bring some hunger potions as well, so at least this will tame up quickly. Come on, just get up, get up, get up, get up. You're hungry. You're gonna eat it all. Oh, this could be the play, chat. We were getting our butt kicked by this mod so much that I was finally happy to catch a break. Surely this Griffin was going to give us an opportunity to be able to tame some really strong creatures. Maybe even something like this divine Argy. Because we can shoot off the back of this thing, I shot it and then made my escape. Oh my god! I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. If you make mistakes in this mod, you get punished for it. Either way, I do need to tame myself either a devilish creature or a divine creature because that's the tier of dino that we're up to right now. I'm thinking maybe a divine griffin might be the perfect tame for us. And there's a whole bunch of them around this volcano island. I just got to think carefully on how exactly I'm going to tame one of these creatures. All I know is I'm not going to risk Charles' life. 240,000 torpor. I decided to just shoot it and see what we could do. I managed to do quite a bit of torpor damage to it. Obviously, once it approached me, it was pretty damn deadly. My armor was holding up and keeping me alive for a little bit, but eventually I died. Maybe if I build a trap, that might work. I'm gonna build it out of metal because hopefully it can't destroy metal. Getting the trap built and placed is one thing. Now we gotta actually trap the Griffin without dying ourselves. The Divine Griffin is so damn strong, it's kind of like Liam Payne, a one-hit wonder. Also, if you didn't notice, metal gates don't work, but there is a structure that will work. Descended tech building pieces can't be destroyed by anything. So again, we place down this descended tech trap, and I make sure to adjust these doors so that they only automatically close, not open. Oh, great. As if I put the runway right next to a freaking ditch in the ground. Now I gotta try and aggro this thing and get it trapped in here without getting stuck in that little ditch. We got him trapped. We got it trapped. Wait, where's all my bullets going? We're quite low on tranquilizer bullets, but we're just going to try and knock this thing out and do our best. We shot it quite a few times, but its torpor wasn't rising as much as it was earlier. We got its torpor a third of the way there, but I ran out of bullets, so I had to teleport back home real quick, where I found out I was pretty low on resources to be able to make more of these bullets, specifically polymer. Thankfully, there is a quick-ish way to get a bunch of it, but this is costing us valuable time, and I don't want the torpor of that Griffin to drop. I'm even quite low on narcotics, so I had to quickly run around the local bushes to gather up a whole bunch of narco berries. It's now day 30 and now we're able to make a bunch of these sniper bullets. Will it be enough? Well, we'll soon find out once we return to the Divine Griffin. No! The Griffin escaped the trap. How it escaped, I have no idea. Honestly, I think it's just a bug in the game and it just happens sometimes. Also, the torpor is completely drained. To make things doubly worse, I couldn't seem to get this Griffin trapped in this trap and I kept dying multiple times. Like, we just kept trying to do this. The fact is, this Divine Griffin is super strong, which also is quite encouraging. Of course, I want to tame a strong creature. All I know is I'm not going to give up on this. It wasn't until this attempt that we caught a break. It seems to have trapped itself. kind of. In this little ditch in the ground, I decided to place all the gates over the top of it, you know, to ensure that it's actually going to remain stuck. This is super whack, and if it gets out, it is what it is. But hey, if it doesn't and we actually tame this thing, you guys at home have to hit that subscribe button and that like button. Now, the moment of truth. Will it get out once we shoot it and aggro it? Oh, I think we might have done it. From here, I just kept shooting it and dealing torpor damage. At one stage, we did have a close call. It managed to hit us and threw us off the side of this cliff. I'm telling you, these parachutes and grapple hooks always come in clutch. I then learned an important fact about these divine griffins. You see this here? When it says it's in divine power mode, you deal significantly less torpor or even normal damage to it than you normally would. See, why is it going down, dude? And the torpor drains rather quickly. You've got to wait for that divine power timer to run out and then continue to shoot it. And this, my friends, is how you knock out a divine griffin. Just like that. We have now tamed one of our most powerful creatures in this playthrough. Now it is a griffin, and we haven't had very much luck with griffins. So hopefully this one can survive. It was nice flying around on a super fast flyer like this, but more importantly right now, can it fight? It doesn't seem to hit things really hard with its normal attacks, but it's the speed of the attacks that it does and the extra damage over time that really does the damage. Next, I tested its power out against this Devilish Theory. The fact that we can fly is a massive advantage, but once I figured out how to make it go into its divine power stage, that's when we started doing some real damage. We managed to find the right angle and start destroying this tickle chicken and managed to wipe it out, confirming that our divine griffin is pretty damn strong. Day 31 and our divine griffin is still alive. It has officially lasted longer than all of our other griffins. My plan right now is to use this to kill some divine and some devilish creatures so we can get their souls in order to make more kibble to tame more of these creatures. We took down this devilish mantis and scored some souls, then began fighting this devilish allosaurus. Ooh, that hurts. This griffin's divine power was carrying us through this fight, but the devilish allosaurus has devil power, so we had to wait for that to drop. 13 more seconds of the devil power. Once the devilish power powered down, we went back into fight, but then suddenly this happened. We were killed by a celestial rock drake. Where the f did that rock drake come from? Me and griffins really aren't mixing in this playthrough. Again, yet another setback. But thankfully, with the divine griffin, we did manage to collect some devil souls and divine souls, so we can at least make some more kibble so we can tame some more creatures. But we are missing one important ingredient. You need artifacts to craft the kibble. The artifacts that we had previously, we got from the loot boss. But because we're playing on the center, there's some pretty easy artifacts we can go and grab. These two I know are scattered around the world and easy to get to. At least with this, we were able to make a few more of these devilish kibbles. So I went out to go and find the devilish creature to go and tame. I had the perfect one in mind. How about the devilish phoenix? It only requires one single devilish kibble and it's still a passive tame. Well, I got tricked. It requires 2 devilish kibble. I don't know what was happening there. And considering this was a devilish creature, this was one of the easiest tames yet. But is it strong? That's the true question. Simple answer. Yes. With the power of this phoenix, I just wanted to go out and try and kill as many devilish creatures as possible, specifically the devilish Dinosuchuses. The phoenix has this crazy AoE ability that absolutely destroys everything in its vicinity. Once I had enough devilish souls, I made some more kibble and went out to find a mate for our current devilish phoenix. Beautiful! Again, sometimes we just need to slow down the pace and make sure we breed some backups of our stronger dinos. Whilst we're waiting for some eggs to hatch from these phoenixes, we're back out harvesting resources, doing some boring things just to pass some time. Day 32 and we're still killing some time by collecting some tree sap. I then remembered we had a whole bunch of excellent Rexes that we could go and put to use in the good old boss arena. I figured we could summon in some loot bosses for some of that juicy loot. In ARK Descended, you need to farm the craziest amount of these loot bosses. I have nothing else better to do right now, and I have a whole bunch of these excellent Rexes that I don't exactly need. So with this, we could send them in, destroy these loot bosses, and collect a whole bunch of this loot. When I returned back to base, we had a fully grown devilish phoenix. Yeah, buddy. We have an imprinted devilish phoenix. I went out to go kill some things for some levels and then went on the hunt for some devilish and divine creatures. It was nice being able to fight some of these creatures without worrying about the risk of losing this thing. Not because it's strong, but because if we lose it, we can replace it. I have no emotional attachment to this thing, so if it dies, who cares? I'm getting my ass romped. Damn it. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. See, like this, that doesn't even matter. It's all right. It's okay, we could afford to die. Day 33 and I realized we had a whole bunch of junk, but we can turn this junk into valuable items if we can make this industrial grinder. I'm just low on a couple resources, so I'll be right back. Yeah, it took us the entire day, but we got all the resources to make this industrial grinder. The Cyberstructure's industrial grinder is my favorite, mostly because it's just smaller and doesn't take up as much room as the normal one. I placed in a whole bunch of this junk, turned it on, and hit that grind button. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit better than it was, and there's a few things that just won't grind up in this thing. Day 34, and we got a brand new Phoenix fully grown up. My chat decided they wanted to name this one. They named it Ringo. I'm assuming kind of like Ringo from the Beatles. I then had a good look through the Descended Smithy to see some new items that we had unlocked because we're a higher level, but then to also give us an idea on what we need to do to progress. There's a bunch of different items that allow us to evolve certain creatures, but then I remembered one important thing. We have no way to make Unreal Essence right now because all of our Unreal creatures are dead. Thankfully, there was this Unreal Dilo right near our base, so I quickly knocked out this speedy lizard and tamed it so it can produce us Unreal Essence. It's pretty much just gonna have to sit here attached to this hitching post in our base, producing us the Unreal Essence. I then went back out on our Pteranodon to go and yoink ourselves one of these snails. I don't know how I find these so quickly. I think I've just been kind of lucky in this sense. I wish I could be lucky in keeping griffins alive. That would be more handy than gross little snails. Also, since I had 2 of these, I figured I'd just breed them together. Day 35, I went out to go and find some drops to collect a bunch of loot to see if it was worthwhile grinding it up. And if we got something decent that we could actually use out of it, that's a good thing too. We got a whole bunch of Ascendant gear, so maybe we'll get some pretty decent resources back. Indeed, this was really good. Something that we grinded up gave us 10,000 cementing paste. We also got 10,000 metal ingots. We can now make the item that I've been wanting to make for a while, the Descended Industrial Forge. We're cooking now, chat. We are cooking. Also, our snails are breeding rapidly. 5 separate snails should produce us a ton of cementing paste. With all of our new resources, I figured I'd change up my base a little bit. It's low-key kind of fun destroying stuff, especially when you know you're going to replace it with something significantly better. Adding in these pieces should make our base a lot safer. The simple fact that no creature can destroy these building pieces should mean all of our stuff in here should remain safe when we're logged off. Day 36, and we flew around this entire map looking for the perfect thing to tame. When we got into the redwoods, we found it. And this log is the perfect place to keep ourselves safe whilst we try and tame this thing. Now, what is this thing? This level 145 Devilish Rex. It has 400,000 torpor, so this might take a while, especially when it goes underneath the log. I then need to reposition to get the right angle, and we can continue pewing it in the face, or its back, wherever we hit. We've already dealt 200,000 torpor, and it's been quite a while. We then came really close to knocking it out. I should do it. That one. Knew it. And then we actually knocked it out. You thought maybe I wasn't going to, but we did. I didn't currently have any kibble ready for it, so I quickly went back to base to make some, then returned to the Devilish Rex and successfully tamed it. Again, someone in my chat decided they wanted to name this. They named it Middle Toe, kind of going off one of my creatures from my 100 Days Kaiju video. Day 37, and yes, we're gonna play this one smart. I'm not doing anything with that Devilish Rex until we have a mate for it. We looked around everywhere. We did find this Unreal Element though, and I was curious what would happen when I kill it. Because it's got a health bar above its head, I'm assuming it's pretty important. Once we finally killed it, I noticed we got a whole bunch of items. Other than the element, this is kind of trash. Anyways, once again, in the redwoods, we found exactly what we were looking for. A girlfriend for our middle toe. We have the perfect at height location to be able to shoot this thing. Well, kind of. It does get into weird positions that I can't actually see it. It is kind of convenient that it is bright pink though. Like bro, if this guy ever wanted to camouflage, he just couldn't. He might look good in like a rave or something though. You definitely start to realize that you're the apex predator when you're chasing a T-Rex and they're not chasing you. Take this stupid techno raving T-Rex. We then tame this pink devilish beast. And of course, the first thing I did was bring it home and begin the breeding process. Also, those beehives that I made earlier broke, so we had to make some new ones. This was a weird problem, but we ended up figuring it out later. Apparently, I had destroy beehives turned on in the settings of the server, so every time the server wiped dinos, beehives would get wiped as well, including ones you made. Now that our Devilish Rexes are producing some eggs for us, I don't really have anything else to do. That's super productive, that is. I figured I'd just work on the base. At least that's something we could do that is kind of productive or, you know, kind of helpful, I guess. We don't have a ton of resources, so I can't change the entire base, as this stuff is kind of expensive as well, but we'll keep working on it over time. Well, will you look at that? Our first egg is incubating. Day 38, we managed to hatch that one single egg. Now we gotta wait for it to grow up, which includes us just staring at Middle Toe's ass for the longest time. In between mating cycles, I grabbed Middle Toe and went out to see what he could do, testing its strength out against this Divine Spino. This could have been risky as our very first fight, but doing 4,000 damage per hit, pretty damn good. I just had to try and figure out what the buttons were for this monster. The Divine Spino went into its Divine Power mode, and I didn't want to lose Middle Toe, so that was my cue to leave. I got away, but the thing chased us down. The fight was definitely on now. I then made another escape, looked behind me, and it looked like someone else was trying to kill the Divine Spino. Oh well, whatever. I just continued on my way. Let them handle it. Day 39, and our baby Devilish Rex is fully grown up. It's got cooler colors too. It already had a couple levels ready to be put into it, so I placed them into its melee stat, and then went to test it out. I think it's fair to say this thing's pretty strong. The imprints in this game are just so crazy. It was then time to feast on the local wildlife. We made our way back over to this part of the map, mainly because there's a bunch of unreal, devilish, and divine creatures out here that we can farm for their resources. That is assuming that we could fight them and actually defeat them. The moment I knew I was going to lose this fight, I went into the inventory of the Rex and grabbed the devilish saddle from it. They're really expensive to make, and I really need this saddle if I plan on riding any Rexes in the future. We do have another devilish Rex fully grown up, so with that, I decided to do a little bit of exploring. Someone placed a teleporter down in this underworld area. I thought maybe this place could be a cool place for boss fights, so I went ahead and made this. This is called the Descended War Generator. Basically a place that I can summon in bosses. Now that we're the devilish tier, we need to fight these guys. They're ancient creatures. Once I realized this place probably isn't the best place for boss fights, I teleported to the blue obelisk and was quickly met by a pretty crazy scary creature. Or two. Good old parachute to the rescue. We're back on our devilish phoenix doing some more exploring when I came across this ancient Rex. Now I knew I had to kill this thing anyway, but they're kind of expensive to summon in. I didn't know that they were world bosses as well. I figured this could be a quick, easy kill, if I could manage to kill it, that is. I would keep trying with our devilish phoenix. We were doing a fair bit of damage to it, but whenever it attacked us and hit us with this attack, it kind of hurt, and we almost died a few times. I soon realized it's probably time to get our Devilish Rex out. Surely this has the power to finish it off. The Devilish Rex has this fire breath attack that does damage over time quite quickly, but I can't figure out if it's better than the bite or not. Either way, this Devilish Rex did manage to take down this ancient Rex. I then harvested its body with this pickaxe, and we got a bunch of this ancient essence, which are these purplish pink bones right here. Day 40, and we're continuing this fun in the redwoods. I'm trying to destroy this Unreal Element. I kind of thought because we're a tier ahead of this Unreal Element, this would have been a bit of an easier fight. It wasn't particularly hard, but it just took us a while. The other thing is, sometimes the Rexes don't pick up the loot, so you have to look for it on the ground. It's kind of annoying and frustrating, but I guess, hey, it's part of ARK. Next, I grabbed a few excellent Rexes, a spare Devilish Rex, and one of our Devilish Phoenixes, and summoned in a whole bunch of loot bosses all at once. We farm loot bosses a lot in this 100 days, so most of the time, I'm just going to skip over it. We literally fight these guys so damn much, mainly because we need certain items that they drop, which include black pearls and the artifacts that they drop. The element helps too. Next, I placed this war generator in my base. No, I'm not going to summon a boss right here, but this is just a way for me to be able to track what resources I need to be able to summon things in. I use the pool mod to get the resources to the generator. Then I take all of those resources out, take them to the boss fighting arena, place them back into the war generator in the boss fighting arena, and go ahead and summon in our first little ancient boss. It was an ancient raptor, which with our little army destroyed quickly. So we followed that up with fighting this ancient stegosaurus. A few of our dinos did die, but we did get the W in the end. Next, we summoned in the ancient Rex. It also died to me in this army. If you're wondering why are we farming these ancient dinos, basically we're looking for these resources. There are 9 different ancient bosses, and we need to kill them all multiple times. Also, to show you guys and remind you, there are 9 different tiers of progression in this mod. We're only at the ancient tier, which is technically like tier 2. Yes, on day 40. And some of these bosses, like this galaxy dragon, are completely insane to fight. It's now day 41, and we're continuing fighting these ancient bosses. First, we're fighting the ancient wyvern, who I thought would have been a little bit more difficult since it's a flyer, but we managed to keep it grounded and stuck and eventually killed it. So with that, I summoned in the ancient Quetzal. This one was a little bit more difficult. It flew around the arena quite fast and made it hard for my Rexes to track down since their turning circle kind of sucks. We managed to jam it in this corner right here, but I noticed my Rex's health dropping rapidly, so I quickly fed it a health potion to try and keep it alive. Then I escaped and tried to let my other Rexes do their job. For some strange reason, there was 2 Rexes that just weren't doing anything. I eventually discovered they're not doing anything because they've got the hitching post bug. They think they're still attached to the hitching post. With everything not going too well right now, I packed up my current Rex and watched my other ones get murdered by this Quetzal. I can't really move on without defeating this Quetzal, so I got its attention once again, and then I guess it's just going to be a one-on-one fight. Somehow, and I don't know exactly how, the Quetzal de-aggroed and stopped fighting me. I then took this opportunity to teleport back to base to see if I had any other fighting ready creatures. I had a few of these phoenixes around, which I had stopped them breeding recently, so we got them breeding once again because it's good to have these guys anyway. And maybe they can help us out in fights, especially against flyers. But I did see I had a couple other fully grown Devilish Rexes as well, which I brought back to the arena to help me fight this Quetzal, which also seemed to have been healing up. So we had to deal with that as well. We finally managed to get this Quetzal stuck in between me and the other Rexes, which was good because we were doing a bunch of damage, but it also took out one of my Rexes. We were just about to finish off this ancient Quetzal when it took out the Rex that I was riding. No, I thought we would have done it. No. I found some other Rexes in our Dino Depot terminal, summoned these out of their Dino balls, and sent them in to finish off this Quetzal, which we finally did. unlocking a whole bunch of engrams as well. I may have failed to mention earlier, but when you kill these ancient creatures, this is when you can unlock tech engrams. The Quetzal might be finished, but we still have 3 other ancient bosses that we need to defeat before we can move on. These are a little bit more simple. This is the ancient Giga. Myself and this army of Devilish Rexes killed it quickly. Soon followed behind was the ancient Bronto. This yellow glowing sauropod went down quickly. Day 42, and I ran out of resources to be able to summon in more of these ancient bosses. So I quickly summoned in a bunch of these loot bosses to feed my devilish army. We ran out of black pearls and artifacts, as you need both of those to summon in these ancient bosses. I then summoned in the next ancient boss, which was the ancient Kano. We also summoned in a loot boss as well, because like, why not? I might be getting a little bit carried away with these boss fights, but depending on how you look at it, you might also think that it's efficient. Since we had now defeated every ancient boss, I wanted to see what tech engrams we had unlocked. It seems like we unlocked everything. All these other ones are a part of the Descended mod, which means we need to defeat other bosses. Now, with all the ancient bosses defeated, we can now make this, the ancient token cluster. But what exactly are we working towards? Well, we want to make these Evo cores, which require ancient token clusters to be able to make them. What exactly are these Evo cores? Well, let me explain. I want to create one of these, an ancient Evo origin, which is basically a tameable raptor, but you can evolve these guys. I can't craft this just yet because I need some devilish souls, so I'll be right back while I go and collect some really quick. I'm trying to kill this devilish phoenix for its devilish soul, but an aerial fight is kind of tricky. I mean, we managed to kill it. It just took us a little bit longer than I had hoped, but now we can craft this ancient Evo origin. I wasn't exactly too sure what would happen, so I made sure to do it outside my base. Like when I finally summon it in, will I have to tame it after the fact, and is it aggressive, or what's the situation? I don't know. Turns out it's just an item, and once I use it, this happens. Hey, buddy. Wow. You weak as f. Indeed, stat-wise, this ancient raptor is pretty weak. Luckily for us, we do have the means to make these Evo cores. We just feed it straight to this raptor, and the next stage of this evolution is the ancient Evo Carnotaurus, which honestly isn't anything to be too excited about. So we evolved it, this time evolving into the ancient Evo Therizino. There's 2 other stages of evolution for these creatures. The Theri can then turn into an ancient Spino, and then the Spino could turn into the ancient Giga. We just haven't unlocked the engram to be able to make the ancient Giga thing, and we currently don't have enough ancient tokens to evolve our Therizino. That's okay though, because as it is, the ancient Theri is actually pretty tough. Let me demonstrate how tough it is. Against this excellent Rex, it got deleted before I could finish this sentence. Even though we have our Devilish Rexes, this thing is already displaying how strong it is. I almost wish I did this a little earlier. We probably couldn't have though, because we needed the Devilish Rexes to take on the ancient bosses. Progressing in this mod can be a little bit tricky and confusing at times. I was pretty grateful that because I was streaming live on Twitch, there was a few people in the chat that knew exactly what to do, and they helped me out quite a bit. Day 43, I used our ancient Theri to fight some devilish creatures, as we're trying to collect as many souls as possible. Also, I'm pretty sure we need devilish and divine hide as well. Whilst I was out exploring and killing things, I stumbled across this. One of my very own Devilish Rexes was just chilling here. What the frick? That's one of my Rexes. It was kind of random. But with this here, I felt kind of confident taking on this pack of Allosauruses. Obviously, I sent it in first, you know, to kind of test the waters a little bit. I went in to try and help. Stuff got really loud. My Devilish Rex went down, and I got kind of worried because these guys were surrounding me. Uh-oh. It looks like we're about to lose our ancient Theri. We worked really hard to get this thing. No, I'm not going to lose this thing. Get out of here. Get out of here. I made sure I could teleport out of here, and hopefully I won't die. We just made it out alive. Our Therizino was on a sliver of health. We have made so many mistakes in the past, we were lucky to make it out of there alive. Anyways, I'm running a little bit low on devilish hide. Thankfully, there's a way for me to be able to get some by sacrificing this Rex to the gods. Not really, I just kill it and then harvest its body. I mean, we have a bunch of them, so it's whatever. Remember that pink spotted bob that we tamed earlier? Well, you can actually craft one and summon one. Just don't be an idiot like me and summon one straight into the wall of your base. I couldn't seem to get my aim right, trying to shoot this bob in the ass just to get him out of this wall. We got it out eventually. I found myself out in the wild exploring again. That's when I saw this ancient trike. I had a couple pocket creatures on me and decided I wanted to fight this thing. First, I wanted to take down this devilish Therizino because I didn't want it to join the fight. And I mean, the devilish souls and resources we get from this is pretty good anyway. But whenever we see ancient bosses in the wild, we have to take the opportunity to take them down. Because they're low-key kind of expensive to summon, if we can get these for free, then I might as well take this opportunity, right? Back at base, I went to make some more of these ancient token clusters, but we don't have quite enough ancient boss tokens. So we're back in the boss arena fighting them again and again. Day 44, before, I summoned in a whole bunch of loot bosses once again and fought these off with one of the help of my subscribers, Vanny. We're at a level now that loot bosses are kind of weak to us. We just need to fight off a whole bunch of them all at once. Look, from here on out, I won't lie to you, there's a lot of boss fighting. We have to fight loot bosses and these ancient bosses a crazy amount of times. Literally, it's kind of ridiculous if I'm honest. Like, I don't mind grinding in games, but sometimes game developers confuse repetitiveness with grind. It's not the same thing. Anyways, rant over. We can almost make this Evo Theory thing. I just need to get myself a little bit of divine hide from these guys. Ideally, I'd like to kill them and then harvest them with my tools, but that comes with its own risks. I could now evolve this Therizino. After a cool visual entertaining evolution, we now have ourselves the ancient Evo Spino. Stat-wise, this thing's a bit of a beast, but how does it fare against creatures? Yeah, we are gonna dominate with this thing. I confidently ran around the swamp, mainly because it's a Spino and it still gets the hydration bonus. So even things like this poison Dodo Rexy, well, it killed me. Yeah, it killed me off the back of the dino. It's okay though, because my Spino stomped on it. I'm all good. This isn't one of those 100 days hardcore runs. It's okay for me to die. It's not like anyone would miss me anyway. Anyways, this Spino had a special ability that we just discovered. In short, the ancient Spino has divine power, so anything in its vicinity gets absolutely wrecked. It obviously only lasts for a limited amount of time and then has a large cooldown, but at the times that we can use it, it absolutely decimates everything in its sight. And I definitely love myself some free ancient tokens. With the newfound power of our Spino, we were wrecking everything. Even this pack of Allosauruses didn't last very long against us. I won't lie, that was kind of risky and a little bit stupid. If we lose this ancient Spino, it's very expensive to replace. Just because we can, I went into this cave. I'm honestly not too familiar with these cave systems, so I just went to the bottom, killed everything in sight, went for a dip in the water because, hey, well, we're a Spino, that's what we do, then called it a day and teleported home. Next, I inspected the war generator to see what bosses we should fight next, and it looks like we should fight the Descended Divine Guardian and the Descended Devilish Guardian. I don't want to fight it just yet. There's a few other things that I want to prepare for, which again includes me fighting some more of these bosses, specifically a loot boss and this Unreal Element boss. Then once again, I had to farm some more ancient bosses. They really don't like fighting my ancient Spino. It's just way too good. Day 46, I went into the ocean to see if there was a better way to collect some black pearls. I thought maybe if we can find a Tuso, aka the big squid, that if we kill it, it might drop a whole bunch of black pearls. The biggest problem that I had, it was really hard to find one in the ocean. We searched the deepest part of the ocean, in caves, all around, well, wherever the frick we are now, but struggled to find one. Well, that was until right now, where we found this Tuso, fought it, killed it, and I don't think we got any black pearls. I also needed prime fish meat as well. I just forget what for, but I'm sure we'll figure out soon. We got attacked by these pearl diver anglerfish. These could be a possible option for us to be able to get some black pearls as well. But for now, it's time to exit the water because I was reminded that there's the imprint potion that we can use on our Spino to give it better stats. Day 47, and this might seem a little risky, but I summoned in a whole bunch of these loot bosses right next to my base. My ancient Spino ate these guys up like a fat kid eats cake. I then had another look at the war generator to see exactly what resources I needed to summon in the Descended Artifact boss. There's a few resources that we don't currently have. Resources that we need to get from devilish and divine creatures. So the hunt began. Nothing was safe. We just had to kill basically everything we could see. Well, everything that I knew I could kill, that is. And of course, 9 loot bosses. Yes, I had summoned in 9 loot bosses all at once. Again, we need to fight so many of these. It's such an annoying grind. Day 48, I teleported over to the arena to start setting up for a boss fight. But there was a slight problem. Yes, that's not a tame Dodo Reaper. That's a boss Dodo Reaper. Somebody left a Dodo Reaper in the boss fighting arena. Obviously, they couldn't fight him. I'm guessing it was this guy right here, Kill Switch. So to give him a little bit of payback, I invited him to my alliance. Secretly, I knew if he was in my alliance and I aggroed this Dodo Reaper, it would attack both of us. Oh shit. It was worth the death. I now needed to find another place to fight a boss. I found this sandy beach area kind of close to the blue obelisk, and it was here that we could summon in this artifact boss, which seems to just be another Dimorphodon, just a little bit bigger than the loot bosses, and I think it's wearing a top hat. It also has a lot more health than the previous loot bosses. My ancient Spino and this Devilish Rex was doing quite a bit of damage, and this artifact boss didn't seem like too much of a threat, but just like that, we managed to kill it. I now need to just find where the bag was that it dropped. Found it. Pretty decent resources and stuff in here. It's basically like a loot boss, but a little bit better. I kind of think it's more worth summoning in loot bosses. This artifact boss is a little bit expensive for the loot that you get back. Anyways, next I want to fight the Divine Guardian or the Devil Guardian, whichever comes first. I just didn't like that location to fight these kind of bosses. I knew I couldn't use the boss fighting arena, but I thought that this little place might be perfect. Since it's kind of enclosed and there's a little bit of water here, we should have the advantage being on a Spino. Firstly, I cleared out the area because I didn't want some of these devilish creatures to come and join the fight. They can kind of make things things difficult if there's too many other creatures fighting at once. I then placed down the war generator, filled it up with all the required ingredients to summon in this boss, got out a little army of Devilish Rexes. We had been breeding quite a bit now, so we're pretty set with these guys. Then began summoning in the Devilish Guardian. Will we win this fight? Is it going to be worth it? Will we unlock new engrams or get special resources? Assuming we could defeat this thing, we'll soon find out. I couldn't really see what was going on because there's so much happening in the fight, but we just kept watching the health bar and we won. Also looks like we unlocked an engram as well. The Descended Tech Force Field. Next, I summoned in the Divine Guardian. Again, I couldn't see too much other than a health bar, which was dropping pretty quickly. Looked like the Divine Guardian was a Spino, but it wasn't too friendly with my Rexes, which destroyed it. Didn't seem like we unlocked anything special, but from all that, we did get some new armor. Hey, look at that. Mastercraft Tier 3 flak boots. Was this large XP potions? Yeah, we got some XP potions as well. They actually might come in handy. Day 49, I put on my brand new armor. The one thing I love about this new armor is one, yeah, the armor is better in general, but two, it doesn't have any durability, which means it can't be destroyed and I don't have to keep repairing it like I have been with my excellent armor. I then had a look in the war generator to see what our next steps were. We now must fight tier 4 bosses, and they look pretty tough. To be able to summon these guys in, I have most of the resources, except Celestial Energy and Abyssal Energy. Looking through my Descended Smithy, I found this item, the Celestial Warfare Key. Then you gotta grind all the Celestials. Basically, I need to kill all of the Celestial and Abyssal creatures to be able to get the resources to craft those keys. And with those keys, I can then progress. It's a whole process. But for now, we gotta fight some more ancient bosses because they all require ancient cluster tokens. Not only do we have to fight a crazy amount of loot bosses, but we need to fight a crazy amount of these ancient bosses as well. I need to reinforce, this mod is extremely fun, but it is also extremely grindy. I will also say, even with this grind, it is very rewarding to grind. Some mods just make you grind for the sake of it. At least this grind is rewarding. Anyways, for a little side quest, I decided I wanted to craft this Infected Origin. Similar to our Evo Origin Raptor, this can evolve, but these are just the flying variants. Starting with the little Dimorphodon, it then evolved into this Pteranodon, which stats weren't too bad for a Pteranodon, but we went ahead and evolved it. The next evolution was the Infected Divine Argentavis. I didn't have what I needed to be able to evolve it any further, and I didn't want to risk losing this right now. So I decided to just put this away, and we'll figure out something to do with it later. Because now it's day 50, and we're in the Redwoods killing things, because that's all we can kind of do right now. But really, I'm just trying to stock up on some resources. The Redwoods seem to hold a bunch of these ancient creatures, so killing them for some free resources is good. Same with these Unreal Elements, where we get, well, free element. Next, I found myself in this boss arena. I had Pineapple set up another one because there were so many other players playing in this server that there was always an arena that was busy at certain times. This way, we could all share the love. Also, this one was a little bit submerged in water, so our Spino still got the hydrate buff, which made our lives a little bit easier when we're trying to kill things. You know, like loot bosses and ancient bosses, same old, same old. I needed to kill all of these ancient bosses all over again for one simple reason. My goal now is to make a mate for our current ancient Spino. Then we can breed them, and at least we'll have backups and spares and armies for, you know, when we want to progress. Day 51, and we have enough resources to make this evolution course and begin evolving this Raptor to the Carno into the Therizino, and finally evolve this Therizino into the Spino. We then ran into a slight problem. The ancient Evo Spino that we got was a male. And kids, if you don't know, 2 males cannot make children. Thankfully, in this mod, we have a magic potion that can change the male into a female. Gender change potion. Must be nice to only have to drink a potion to have a snip happen. We're now breeding our ancient Spinos together, which means we no longer have to worry about losing them in a fight. I then put a saddle on the back of this Argentavis. Take this bad boy for a spin, cuz. Curious whether to see if this thing was strong or not. It hits pretty damn hard. So I flew around some of the map just killing some things until I decided to come back to base and make myself a scuba tank because I had another idea. I wanted to head back into the ocean to test out another theory and science something. Apparently those pearl diver anglers are really good at collecting black pearls. Again, an item that we really need in this playthrough. But finding these anglers was a little bit tricky. I mean, we managed to find one on day 52. I managed to put it to sleep with one bullet and feed it some prime meat. Now we must wait, even with that scary Tuso in the distance. I've noticed that some of the modded creatures don't aggro as much as they would if they were vanilla. If that was a vanilla Tuso, it would have chased us down already. Pearl diver anglerfish now acquired. I jumped straight on its back since it doesn't require a saddle, and now we've got to go and find something to kill, because apparently for these things to harvest black pearls, they can just harvest it from any corpse. I went to go munch on this ordinary megalodon, and we weren't doing that much damage. I soon realized this thing's not very handy considering it can't really kill too many things, and if it got caught in the wrong fight, it was surely dead. I did manage to kill an anglerfish, which when I harvested, we got 80 black pearls from it. I mean, the pearl diving anglerfish would be a good choice if it could actually kill some creatures, but the fact is, it's just too weak. See, it died by an invisible, I didn't even know what. What the flip? Also, guys, by the time that this video comes out, there's been a lot of changes to this mod already. I've personally made a few suggestions to the mod developer, especially about the Black Pearl issue, as it is a main contention through this video. In between mating sessions, I grabbed one of my Spinos and went out for a bit of a slay. This little island swampy area has a crazy amount of strong creatures. And since I wasn't too afraid of losing my Spino because we have backups, I went through and munched on everything, including this abysmal Broodmother. I have to kill this thing anyway because that's how we progress. We were burning the heck out of this big butted spider. Then the celestial wyvern came into party. This is when things got a little bit hairy. Since the wyvern couldn't lock onto us, it looked like we were winning. We're beating this. We're beating the Broodmother. We're beating the Broodmother. We beat it. We were supposed to get a bunch of loot from it, but it didn't seem like we got anything. There were still dangerous creatures around, so I couldn't jump off my Spino to go and check the ground for a bag. Don't tell me it dropped it. Once the area was safe, I jumped off my Spino and found the bag. There we go. We got something. Now my focus was back on this celestial wyvern. I was starting to feel confident now that we took down that abysmal Broodmother. When you're stuck on the land, fighting flyers can always be a little bit difficult. The trick is to try and get them stuck somewhere, but it also gets you stuck as well, so that's dangerous. Ooh, you have strong power. I have also strong power. The divine power on our Spino comes in clutch sometimes. It even helps heal us up. And now patiently wait for the wyvern to come back in to attack us. It has very little health left, so it only takes one bite and it's down. But then this happens. What is that thing? I don't even want to know. What the f is that? 29 million health Dodo wyvern? I didn't even want to know what that is right now. Day 53, we're out here taming this Devilish Therizino. You might be thinking, Aaron, why the hell do you need a Devilish Therizino? Basically, I'm running a little bit low on rare mushrooms and I need to farm a whole bunch of them. And Therizinos are one of the best creatures to help us farm them. We just got to make our way over to the swamp and farm the trees down here to get rare mushrooms. Problem is, it wasn't working and we couldn't figure out why at the time. These mangrove-like trees should give us a whole bunch of rare mushrooms. They just weren't. And before you start spamming the comments, oh, you should press this button, you should press that button. I have been, trust me. I was live streaming this entire process and my entire chat was telling me all the different ways to be able to get the mushrooms. We tried everything and it wasn't working. I did level the wrong thing though, but that shouldn't make a difference. Myself and chat did come up with a theory. We think it's because of the Devilish Therizino has a special ability that blocks us actually being able to harvest the mushrooms. This swipe attack should be farming mass mushrooms, but it's just not. I'm assuming it's because of that flame attack that's attached to it. Guess the only way to get rare mushrooms right now is summoning in more loot bosses. Day 54 begins with us doing a standard farm run. Our crops are growing, but they're not growing fast enough for our narco berry situation. I want to always have enough bullets so that we can tame things, especially as we progress, which means we need to craft a whole bunch of narcotics. Next, I checked the dino terminal, and all of these eggs are ancient Spinos. We now hatch them all, but then we have to wait for them to grow up to be useful to us. Whilst we waited, I saw this in the descended smithy. Maybe if I summon this descended otter, it might help us hold some artifacts that we keep getting from the loot bosses. When I summoned it in, it sounded kind of moist. What's up, little otter? What's up, my dude? I then went to teleport to one of the boss fighting arenas with the otter on my shoulders, only to find out that the otter can't come with us. No, the otter can't come. Kind of inconvenient, but hey, it is what it is. We're back in the boss fighting arena, fighting loot bosses, because that's all we can do right now. And some ancients as well. Again, fighting these guys is a massive grind, and we do it a lot. Day 55 had enough resources to craft one of these Evo Origins, and evolve it all the way up until it's a Therizino. I had also found this Ascended Therizino saddle in a drop earlier. Now for the real test. Can the ancient Therizino harvest rare mushrooms? Yes, it can. Like a whole damn lot. This confirmed our theory earlier about the Devilish Therizino not being able to gather them because of its attack. If it works perfectly fine with this ancient theory, that's the solution. We gathered a whole bunch of resources. We even got a whole lot of chitin as well. But most importantly, we got a whole lot of rare mushrooms. Now, if you're wondering what exactly we need the rare mushrooms for, basically it's one of the main ingredients we need to craft loot boss summoners. Right now, in order for us to progress, we need to collect abyssal and celestial energies. The only way to collect them is to fight, well, abyssal and celestial creatures, which are super tough, especially these abyssals when they have their abyssal power turned on. But when their abyssal power turns off, they're weak as shit and we can munch them to death. In that little situation, I forgot to go back and pick up the loot bag, so we didn't actually get any abyssal stuff. And I continued on fighting things, looking for more abyssal and celestial creatures to kill. On day 56, we returned back to that place because chat reminded me to come back here so we could collect this abyssal energy loot. This whole having to find loot bags on the ground thing was kind of getting annoying. So I went back to base and then added the loot grabber mod. If you're unfamiliar with this mod, I can just press a single button and it picks up the loot from around me. In this particular server, I disabled the ability to loot out of drops and out of beaver dams. Next, I placed down the CS Tech replicator. I like it because it's a bit smaller than the normal one, but I crafted it so that I could craft this. This is the Cyber Structures Tech transmitter, and this works like a dino scanner. It helps me find dinos. kinda. I used it to scan for these creatures, the Abyssal Dodo Rexy. And apparently there's a whole bunch of them in this general area. I managed to spot one, but it was right next to this Celestial Megapithecus. And I wasn't really interested in a 2v1 situation. So I got the aggro of this one Dodo Rexy and brought it all the way down to me. Now the fight was on. I already beat the Broodmother, so surely this fight would be pretty straightforward and easy. No, get out of the way. Move. You're dying, move. You're stuck. You stupid. Most disappointing thing about dying right now was losing the ancient Spino saddle. These things are more expensive than today's gas prices. And now we're back in the tough creature area fighting this Celestial Megapithecus. This was a pretty tough fight, but we got that big fat W in the end, and that's all that matters. I then returned back to this Abyssal Dodo Rexy with my whole army of ancient Spinos. Screw 1v1s when you have armies. My whole army of ancient Spinos went in and deleted the Dodo Rexy. I then sent them all in on this Celestial Megapithecus. They didn't do so well. The Celestial Megapithecus has a pretty dangerous attack. This rock throw attack, if it lands on you clean, it can really mess you up. Lucky for us, its aim is about as good as Tim the Tatman's. Kinda looks like him too. Anyway, he's dead. Time to move on. I went ahead and checked my engrams to see what ingredients I needed to be able to summon in the Descended Abyssal Dodo Rexy because I want to get myself one of them. They're strong as hell. I then wanted to see if I could 1v1 it. Oh no, that's what I was trying to not do. I get stuck in it, dude. But yes, I get stuck inside it, which makes things quite difficult. Okay, that's bullshit. I'm stuck in it. I can't move. I know I'm going to die. I just wanted to loot as much stuff as possible before I died. Day 57, and we're preparing our massive army in the boss fighting arena because now it's time to summon in this Abyssal Dodo Rexy. If we can defeat this Abyssal Dodo Rexy boss, it should drop an item that we can use to be able to craft something that will allow us to evolve an excellent Dodo Rexy into an Abyssal Dodo Rexy. I just actually have to defeat this thing, which is a little bit harder than I expected. I set up my army in a way that I could send them in waves. I didn't want to send them all in at once in case they got absolutely destroyed quickly. We sent in our last wave of Spinos and got the W. We also got some more of this tier 3 flak armor, completing an entire set. But ultimately, this is what we were after. Defeating that Dodo Rexy gave us this engram so we can craft the Evo core for the Dodo Rexy. 58, and we're all dripped out in our brand new armor. I then used our brand new Dino scanner to scan for Dodo Rexys. They just tell us the rough estimation of exactly where they are, and apparently there's a whole bunch of them in the redwoods. I only need one. This Flame Dodo Rexy level 140 is gonna have to do. This was a pretty straightforward tame as well. I attached myself to a side of this tree, shot it in the face a couple times with our super strong fabricated sniper rifle, put it to sleep, fed it its juicy boss kibble, and then I got robbed by a Pegamastix. Wait, did you steal this little punk? What did you steal? Oh. With this Flame Dodo Rexy now tamed, I balled it up and I ran into this Abyssal Dodo Reaper. I thought I'd give it a go and see if I could defeat it. Even with my divine power, I got absolutely demolished. Wow. In other news, I made the Evo core for the Dodo Rexy, fed it to my Flame Dodo Rexy, and watched it evolve. This evolution process kind of takes a while, but here we have it, our Abyssal Dodo Rexy. Now to find out how strong this thing really is. At this time, my chat seems to think that this is going to change our game significantly. And I guess 7,000 damage is pretty decent, 15,000. It has a fire breath attack that absolutely melts things, but the thing that makes it really strong is this Abyssal power. When we turn this on, anything that comes within its vicinity gets absolutely destroyed. Like this Abyssal Broodmother Listrix, we drop this attack and watch its health just deplete. Yes, this Abyssal Dodo Rexy is definitely going to change our game for the better. Day 59, we're back in the boss fighting arena once again. This time with an even bigger army than I had earlier. Because of course, I need to kill another one of these Abyssal Dodo Rexys because I want to get myself a breeding pair. Obviously, the first wave that I sent in got absolutely wrecked. So I sent in another wave and they were doing a little bit better. But that's until the Dodo Rexy does this attack. And that particular attack is the reason why we send them in waves. We want to bait that attack out for one of the waves to get completely destroyed and send in another wave to do all the damage. The one thing I love about this mod is the fact that you need to have a different strategy for every different boss. It's almost kind of like Elder Scrolls or, you know, like the Souls-like type of fighting, but with dinosaurs and stuff. Once again, we head back out to the redwoods to find ourselves a Flame Dodo Rexy, grapple on the side of this tree, and you guys know how the rest goes. We shoot it, knock it out, tame it, feed it the Evo core, and evolve it. Then we just pray it's the right gender. No, they're both female. Now, which one of these female Dodo Rexes is going to identify as a male? Who cares? One of them took a sip of the gender change potion, and now they can breed. While we're waiting for some eggs to hatch, I placed this down. The Descended Shield Generator. Day 60, and once again, I have to kill some time. I figured I'd do something kind of fun and dorky. Side note, Tech Shield comes in clutch. So we went to an area highly populated with big scary creatures like these Rexes, and tried to fight them on foot. well, try to knock them out or something. I don't know what I was doing exactly. I then got out a whole bunch of my ancient Spinos so that they could fight the Celestial Rock Elemental. This Rock Elemental was quite beastly and destroyed all of my ancient Spinos within seconds. I want one. I had a whole bunch of these ancient Spinos, and because we're breeding up a whole bunch of these Abyssal Dodo Rexes, I don't think I'm gonna need them too much anymore. I sent them in to fight. Then they got the aggro of this Abyssal Dodo Reaper. It was all over for them quickly. Yeah, anyways, we just kept sending in armies to go fight things. They all died. But once I finally returned back to base, we had our first Abyssal Dodo Rexy egg. How cute. Next, I went and harvested a whole bunch of metal because, you know, we're just trying to keep ourselves busy. We were quite peaceful until, yeah, this. Don't aggro, don't aggro. It aggro, didn't it? Disappointing that we lost that Anki because it was pretty damn good. I need to find a better, more peaceful mining spot. I was then reminded that there's a good spot behind this waterfall. I mean, like not behind here. A little bit further up, right here. Tons of metal and some crystal and no scary creatures to kill us. With all that metal, we then made some changes around our base, turning it into the tech structures. We've progressed so far now that I don't really want to risk losing any of these creatures. So I'm going to try and protect them the best as I can. Day 61, and I just couldn't live with myself if I didn't have another one of those miner Ankis. You know me, I always need a miner in my life. Whilst trying to knock this thing out, we found this puppy and it could be claimed. So I claimed it. Duh, obviously, wouldn't you? Also, the Anki that we were taming had a baby following it around. So as soon as we tamed the daddy Anki, I went and claimed its child as my own. I then took a little bit of time to exercise and jump off this cliff. I don't know why I did that. Mistakes were made. I didn't realize I had to wait until I could get down to the bottom because I can't grapple onto anything. We found a little ledge that we could grip onto and teleport back home. Obviously, with our brand new Anki, I had to bring it to our brand new metal spot and obviously farm a whole bunch of metal. I wanted to stock up so we didn't have to come out for a while. And whilst we're farming metal, we collected berries, stone, and flint. Like, dude, this is the massive haul that we got from that one massive farming session. 60,000 narco berries and over 10,000 metal. We're richer than Elon Musk. Our first baby Dodo Rexy was fully grown up, so I fed it some of these large XP potions just to skip the whole grind of, you know, leveling them up, and then rushed out to the swamp area so we could start murdering everything. It's kind of hard to see because we basically turned everything into a purple flame, but we took down some Abyssal Broodmothers and Celestial Megapithecus. I'm not saying these fights were easy, but they were easy. And then when it tested our might against this Abyssal Dodo Reaper, yeah, like that thing's dead already. It was over that quickly. Celestial Rock Drake? No, dead Rock Drake. Day 62, I had to look through these Celestial and Abyssal bosses to see what else we needed to be able to summon them all in. I give you two guesses what we needed. Ancient Cluster Tokens, which means, yes, we got to go out and kill a whole bunch of ancient creatures, and whichever ones we couldn't find in the wilds, we had to fight them in the boss arena. Thankfully, because of our Dodo Rexy, we are so damn strong that we can summon multiple at once. Day 63 was just another day of farming. This time, loot bosses, a whole bunch of them, then some wild ancients, and of course, some abyssals for that juicy abyssal energy. Day 64, and we're back in the boss fighting arena once again, but this time, we're summoning in a Celestial boss. Which Celestial is it? Well, it's this one, the Celestial Rock Elemental. 33 million. Oh, I'm nervous. This is going to be a tough fight, but thanks to my massive army of Devilish Rexes, Ancient Spinos, and even my Dodo Rexies, hopefully they can pull through and kill it. My Ancient Spinos and Devilish Rexes all went down, so it's just me and my Abyssal Dodo Rexies. But then all of a sudden, it was just me. Wow. Man's means business. We didn't even take down half of its health. This thing is strong. Obviously, because it's a rock elemental, it has damage reduction. But if I can lay down this attack and make it run through it multiple times, I should be able to survive long enough to be able to take this thing out. I was using my abyssal power to stay alive, but the abyssal power runs on our stamina bar. To recharge my stamina, I had to turn our abyssal power off, but that makes me so weak that if I got hit once or twice, I'd probably die. I tried to recharge my stamina, but by the time I did, the Celestial Rock Elemental had fully healed up itself. So we're back at it trying to burn this rock alive. Honestly, this was such a grind and our stamina just wasn't really holding up. I powered down because our stamina had run out. We power down for a quick second, slowly walk, keep the walk, get my thing back up. Power back up as soon as I can. Oh shit! Shit! I was pretty frustrated, so I teleported back home so I could rethink my strategy. I then got out another one of my Dodo Rexies and went out in the local vicinity to try and kill some things for some quick levels. Then grabbed a bunch of dinos from my dino terminal, only to return back to the boss fighting arena to get out another army so we can fight this Celestial Rock Elemental. This time I tried my best to play it smart by sending in waves, but as you can see, that didn't work too well. It didn't take too long for another one-on-one fight, and its health hasn't really gone down too much. The biggest difference this time is that the Dodo Rexy that I'm riding, I made sure to level up its stamina quite a lot, and this seemed to work quite well for us. We managed to do a fair bit of damage whilst keeping our Abyssal power on and managed to dodge all of its attacks. I mean, it does attack quite slow. In the end, this fight took damn ages. We had a pretty close moment at this point. No! No idea how I survived that, but I'm glad I did. The Celestial Rock Elemental has a slither of health left. Then come on, come on. Dead. Oh my god. Defeating the Celestial Rock Elemental was such a relief, and I'm really glad we did because this will help us progress significantly more than we have with this Dodo Rexy. Also, the loot that it drops was pretty good too. Anyways, we can now make this, the Evo core for the Rock Elementals. I now just need to find myself an excellent Rock Elemental that I can evolve. Even with the help of the Dino Scanner, Rock Elementals are hard to find. Oh, it's right there, bro. It looks too much. That's what Rock Elementals should look like. Thank you to Nano Spyglass, otherwise we wouldn't have found that. Anyways, it's a passive tame, so I ran up, gave it some excellent kibble, and it was that simple. We tamed it. I honestly thought I could craft this. Turns out I'm missing artifacts. Loot boss killing time! Okay, now I can evolve this excellent Rock Elemental into the Celestial Rock Elemental. This creature of ours should carry us through to the next tier. I had to make it one of these Celestial Rock Elemental saddles, and of course, an imprint potion. Then we went out to go test its strength. A standard hit hits pretty damn hard, and when it throws its rock, it absolutely messes up everything in its line of sight. But stuff really changes once we turn on the Celestial power. Holy shit. It's hard to see because of all the white flashes on the screen, but literally nothing's safe. Like right now, we're absolutely destroying this Abyssal Dodo Reaper. Like you wouldn't even know it was there. I'm pretty sure that's the sound of, yeah, there's a Havoc spawning. Day 66, I tamed another Unreal Dilo. We're starting to chew through Unreal Essence quite quickly, so having 2 Unreal creatures produce the Essence passively should help and make the difference. I then prepared to fight another Celestial Rock Elemental. I'm pretty certain we're going to be a lot more prepared now, since we kind of know exactly what we need to do. I don't have a massive army, but it'll do to try and help at the start at least. I sent in the first little wave, then the second wave followed, and basically everything died straight away. My Celestial Rock Elemental can power up as well. Similar to our Abyssal Dodo Rexy, this has Celestial power, and I just stand here, throw some rocks at it, let it do its damage over time, and run away. I also recruited a friend to help us out. Mr. Pineapples came in clutch. I had one rule when it came to receiving help. If I had fought a boss once and defeated it once, the second time I could accept help. But I always wanted to fight it the first time solo. This is because I kind of like playing with the community, but I also want to try and complete most of this challenge solo. Anyways, we defeated the Celestial Rock Elemental, looked on my Dino Scanner for an excellent Rock Elemental, flew on out into the jungle to go and find it. Took me a while, but we found it and then I tamed it. Next, I made the Evo core and evolved it into the Celestial Rock Elemental, placed both of my Rock Elementals next to each other, and instructed them to breed. We had the potions mod that allowed us to create breeding potions. So that's how these guys can breed. Try not to think too much about the actual biology of what's happening right now. It'll give you nightmares. Day 67, we stared at the Celestial Rock Elemental's nuts while we waited for it to breed. Then we hatched some more eggs for our Dodo Rexes. And next I went back to the boss arena because I wanted to summon in another one of these Celestial bosses. This Celestial Rock Elemental that we're riding is actually a fully grown baby. The Rock Elementals kind of grow really fast. And right now we're summoning in the Celestial Giga boss. It is pretty tough. And considering it's a Giga, I was kind of nervous. But from what I've been told, the Celestial Rock Elemental is definitely the way to go when you want to defeat all the Celestial and Abyssal bosses. It's the fact that it has its damage reduction. There are definitely other creatures that can deal more damage, but not dying is also an advantage. Day 68 begins with us farming some more Ancients on our Celestial Rock Elemental. And seriously, this thing deletes these Ancients like they're nothing. I also needed to farm some more Celestial and Abyssal energy. This was always a little bit risky. Not only are these things stupid strong, but summoning Havocs or Spectrals into the world meant we had to be extra careful when we were hitting things. And then there was cases like this. You see, we're fine when we're fighting 1v1, but when a second one sneaks on in and I'm not really paying any attention, things get a little bit tricky. I'm stuck. I'm dead. Thankfully, we can smash 2 rocks together and breed them. Normally, it starts fire. I don't know. Next, I wanted to find out exactly what I needed to be able to summon in these bosses. The Celestial Element and the Abyssal Element, which is next to it, are like the major bosses of this tier that we're in. And when we finally kill them, it'll give us Celestial and Abyssal Element that we could then use to craft the Abyssal and the Celestial Warfare key, which will then allow us to progress even further to the next tier. So what's the next step? Basically, we need to fight all of the Celestial and Abyssal bosses. This time we're starting with the Celestial Rock Drake, which we defeated with our small army. Next, we summoned in the Celestial Wyvern boss. This one, of course, was a little bit more tricky as it flew around kind of fast. But once my Celestial Rock Elemental got powered up, that's when we really started doing some damage. It helps a lot when we got it stuck in this little area right here. But it's also kind of risky because we're stuck in there with it, and it's strong. Oh no, I'm getting melted and I can't see a thing. Quite the close call. And my Dodo Rexies died. In some ways, a 1v1 situation kind of made things a little bit easier. I knew exactly where the focus was for the Celestial Wyvern, which means all I had to do was just keep slamming the ground and we were doing damage. I got it stuck up against this wall and this finished it off. Oh yes, this is it. This is it. This is it. It was it. I was right. Day funny number, and today we're beating bosses. Starting with the Celestial Rhinoganatha, then the Celestial Titanosaur, who I will admit was really damn tough. Next we fought the Celestial Megapithecus, and then the Celestial Giga. Again, we have to fight it twice, and I'll explain why a little bit later. This fight was a little bit tougher, but I got stuck in it, which kind of was a little bit awkward, but somehow kind of helped me, and we destroyed it. Ooh, you melted me. Who's gonna melt faster, me or you? Looks like it's gonna be you. Now, the reason why I fought the Celestial Giga again was so that I could summon in this, the Ancient Phantom. This is a separate boss to where we're at currently, but apparently it's really damn tough. Once it summoned in, it started slaying all of my creatures. I tried smacking it around as best as possible, but it got kind of scary at times. It bites really hard. We got its health down halfway, but I was stuck in it. This is where I knew we were in trouble. I managed to escape, but our stamina was running really low. I needed somewhere to go so I could recharge my stamina. I got stuck in it once again, and basically knew it was all over. I was kind of fed up at this point and broke one of my rules. I just wanted to defeat this thing. It wasn't even a part of the main quest line that we were trying to do. I just wanted this done and dusted. What rule did I break? I brought friends along to help me defeat this. Chief Mitch, coming in for the fight. I then made a grave mistake. Oh no, wrong button, wrong button. And somehow got away with it. The biggest problem I faced when fighting this Giga was getting stuck inside it. I couldn't escape and run around. And this would always lead me to my certain death. Chief Mitch was helping us out by keeping the damage on it, so at least the Giga couldn't heal up. I was riding a pretty basic Dodo Rex and just using my ranged attacks when I could to help out. Then my friend Vanny came in to help us out. I knew we had this in the bag. This Giga was about to die. Charged in for the very final attack, and we secured the job, getting everything we needed. Day 70, and I had to clean up my rocky mess around this boss arena. We had like 5 or 6 of these bred up Celestial Elementals. They die kind of easy, but they do tank a lot of damage. Anyway, since we had beaten that Phantom Giga, we actually unlocked the next evolution for our Ancient Spino. Yeah. I can upgrade the Spino. So the Phantom's what you need to kill to be able to get this. Best thing is, we have all the ingredients except black pearls to make this. You know what that means? I need to summon in a whole bunch of loot bosses, but we're kind of running low on metal. So quick metal run? Well, it'll seem quick to you, but we actually did a massive metal run. Yeah, we gathered a lot of metal. Began cooking all of this metal up in our industrial forge, and then we summoned in a stupid amount of these loot bosses. Like, seriously, a crazy ass amount. Our Celestial Rock Elemental melted all of them within seconds. This gave us over 2,000 black pearls, which we could then use to make this evolution core and evolve this Ancient Spino into its greatest form, the Ancient Giga. Now, can we confirm, is this Ancient Giga worth all the hassle it was to be able to get it? 69,000 damage is pretty damn dangerous. One hit and we're munching down dragons. It also has this special attack that I dropped this bubble that does damage over time, kind of like our favorite Dino Spinebreaker in Pugnacia. This Abyssal Broodmother got absolutely wrecked, even in its abyssal power form. That's all fine and dandy, but once again, we don't want to risk losing this Giga. So it looks like we need to make another one, which we began the process of on day 71, summoning in another Ancient Giga. But this time I brought some friends just to make things a little bit easier, obviously. I would show you more of the fight, but honestly, this is what it looked like most of the time. The special ability attacks in this mod are kind of crazy, and as we go further up in the tiers, they get more intense. Anyways, we managed to defeat this Giga, and I made another Evo core to feed to my Spino to evolve it into an Ancient Giga. We got pretty lucky this time. It was a female, so we didn't have to worry too much about the gender swapping issues. Now, an army of Ancient Evo Gigas is going to be extremely strong. We just now need to keep ourselves busy whilst we wait for this army to breed up. And this is a survival crafting game, so resource farming is probably a good way to keep ourselves busy. I then ran into a slight problem. I checked my Dino terminals and I didn't see any Ancient Giga eggs. It had been quite a while and there should have been at least one. Dude, is it not picking up the Giga egg? Is it too far away? No! Eggs are too far away. My solution, just place a Dino terminal right next to my Ancient Gigas. Day 71, and I began my preparations to fight this Celestial Element. But first, all of these items that couldn't be destroyed in our grinder we found out a way to destroy them. Well, grind them up at least. You can use this salvage station that's a part of the upgrade mod. You don't get amazing loot back, but it's still better than nothing. We then head to the boss arena and start setting up for this fight. I was pre-warned that this fight was probably going to be stupid difficult, so I made sure to level a bunch of my creatures and bring a massive army. Day 73, and it's time to fight the Celestial Element. I had the arena set up so that I'd send in my dinos in waves. I had to keep myself at a distance because I was worried I was going to get deleted. We're going to crash. This is going to crash the PC. This is going to crash the entire server. I was also concerned that we might crash everything. I'm turning the numbers off because I'm scared. After our first wave was deleted, I tried to send in my second wave. Is that lag or are they just not moving? We lagged out for quite a little while, but once we finally got back, every one of my Gigas went into fight. This wasn't ideal because I'd rather send them in waves, but judging by the boss's health, we were winning. We're winning, but barely. Then all of a sudden, all of our ancient Gigas were starting to drop like flies. Then it was only me and the Celestial Elemental left. I wasn't doing a massive amount of damage, but all I knew was if I stopped, it would heal up. And I didn't want to walk into its flames. This hurts. This boss also summons in its minions, some divine ARKs or whatever they are. We were fending them off and we were doing our business. Fuck. But it just wasn't good enough. This fight is rough. Once I had finally returned to the boss fighting arena, the Celestial Element was back at full health. This was pretty saddening to see. It's more annoying that it heals up. Like, it's already hard as it is, but the fact that it healed makes it just like... I was feeling pretty defeated at this point and didn't really know what to do next. I still had a whole bunch of ancient Gigas that I could still use, and I had to bite the bullet and use this potion mod, paired together with the potions that you can make in the Descended Smithy. It's not ideal, but in the Discord for the Descended mod, it is suggested that you do use this potion mod. I kind of wanted to keep it immersive by only using the stuff that's a part of the mod to complete the mod, but solo, I just don't know how. Put together another little army, threw them into this fight. Wait, these guys are doing more damage than they freaking were yesterday. And I mean, this seemed to kind of be working. They all died kind of quickly, so I got a friend to come and help me out. Vanny Shiny really came in handy in this 100 days. My Giga died though. All I needed was Vanny to keep dealing damage so that it wouldn't heal up. And this made all the difference in this fight. I was able to get back into it and do my part in defeating the Celestial Element. Well, kind of. I did die again. Oh no, not again. Maybe one of my Celestial Rock Elementals could help us fight this thing. It's now day 74, and we have even more people in here trying to help us kill the Celestial Element. We had almost got it down. I went in to try and land that final punch, and I died. Again. When I had finally returned to the boss fighting arena, the Celestial Element was dead. I ran around the arena to try and collect the loot. Then I checked my engrams and saw that we had unlocked Spectral Kibble. This would mean that we did defeat it before we died. Oh. And here's all the loot that dropped from it. I checked the Descended Smithy and noticed we could make Havoc and Spectral Kibble. At first, I thought it was just a Spectral Kibble, but apparently it's both. We could almost make this, but we need Spectral Element, which you can only get by killing spectral creatures. And they're really strong. That's going to be tough. I was then told I need to make the Celestial Shield and put it on my Celestial Rock Elemental. Apparently, this will help us significantly progress. But I need the Celestial Warfire Key and 2 pure Divine Armors, which require Divine Essence. But for me to be able to get Divine Essence, I need to fight the Divine Guardian, which I currently can't do right now because I need to fight some ancients to get some tokens to be able to summon it in. The grind is certainly real in this mod. Sometimes it can be rewarding, but sometimes it can be boring as hell. Anyways, we managed to summon in the Divine Guardian, which was deleted rather quickly by my ancient Giga. Day 75, I had to summon in another Divine Guardian. Why do I need to fight it twice? Well, that's because I need 2 Divine Armors and the Warfire Key just so I can make the Celestial Shield. Celestial Shield. This better be worth it. Once made, I placed it on this rock elemental, took it out to see what it does exactly. Now, it definitely does not increase my attack power, but I can take a hit. Usually, all of these attacks against me, I would have lost probably half of my health by now, but in general, it doesn't even look like I'm losing much of my health at all. And this made me feel pretty invincible, so I went out to try and kill as many Celestials and Abyssals as possible, which eventually led to this Spectral Indom being summoned in. With my Celestial Armor, I should be able to defeat this thing. Well, that's assuming I could aim and actually hit it. 32 million health, I knew straight away this was going to be a tough fight. Oh shoot. Was I wrong? It hits damn hard, but I was trying to use the water to my advantage. Because I'm a rock elemental, I stick to the ground. I can't swim. And because it's a Rex, it's kind of slow in the water. In this instance, I have movement to my advantage. I tried to deal as much damage as possible, but kept getting pushed away by its spectral attacks. I soon realized that this fight was going to be way harder than I had thought. I think it's time to just call it a day. We'll figure out how to defeat one of these guys eventually. Also, my chat wanted to name this Celestial Rock Elemental. We named it Mr. Sandman. I don't know why. It's probably going to die quickly. Day 76, I returned back to the Spectral Indom, but with an army of creatures to help me try and defeat it. Once prepared, I sent in this army of ancient Gigas, and a whole bunch of them got destroyed straight off the rip. Someone said to walk into the bright light. I'm glad I didn't listen. All I know is I'm determined to defeat this guy. Even with all of my ancient Gigas dead, we're gonna keep trying. My biggest concern is the fact that it's an Indom. If it gets too close, we might get stuck inside it. Thankfully, this move here is kind of like an AoE attack and still deals damage even if we're not actually hitting it directly. I finally managed to get a view on it and see its health. We had actually done quite a bit. I had hope. Now I know I just have to stay consistent to try and defeat this guy. We also discovered a strategy that would help keep us alive. I gotta let him do his big attack like now. Yeah, like that. Because that's got a cooldown. I gotta not get hit by that one. You can hear it. Yeah, and now I go in and I just fight him. With that big attack out of the way, I know it's on cooldown. This gives us the chance to go in and attack without too much of a risk of dying ourselves. This should kill him. This should kill him. This should kill him. We had now defeated the Spectral Indom and received that juicy Spectral Element. With this, I could now make some Spectral Kibble, but I could only make one. It requires 100 Spectral Element to be able to craft a single one. I was also aware that these Spectral and Abyssal creatures have high torpor, and I knew my gun wasn't going to cut it. I had a fair idea on how I'm going to do this, but first, I need to defeat this Ascended Poison Drake. If it's not obvious, I'm going to try and tame myself a Poison Drake, because apparently they can deal a lot of torpor. And by defeating this Poison Drake, I will gain this. That's what I needed. Ascended Poison Drake Soul. But before I can continue, I need to tame myself a Poison Drake in the wild, which is pretty straightforward. Our gun's pretty good at knocking these guys out. Poison Drake acquired. Now I can explain exactly what's going on. Essentially, with the Poison Drake boss that we killed earlier, I can now make this an Evo core for the Poison Drake, which should allow me to evolve this Poison Drake into an Ascended Poison Drake. Apparently, it's just a lot stronger, and its wings glow. Stats-wise, this thing is pretty decent, but nothing too crazy. Okay, hopefully he does a lot of torpor. I just needed to test out its torpor dealing abilities against something. I tried against this Spino, but honestly, I don't know if 10,000 torpor per hit is really that good, especially when these Spectrals have 17 million torpor. I'm not very good at maths, but all I know is 10,000 per hit isn't going to cut it. Wait, that did 30k. Okay, even though it did 30k, its torpor starts dropping really quickly. How am I going to tame myself one of these Spectral or Abyssal creatures? I don't know. But at least now I have a cool looking dragon. Just for science sake, I tried to do this with just my gun. Surprisingly, the gun's pretty damn good, and I found a pretty sweet spot to shoot from without getting hit. Psych, that's a damn Spectral. If it wants to hit you, it will. Day 77, and I put the Spectral Taming project to the side because I found another creature that's a better knockout creature than the Poison Drake, and it's called the Swamp Master. But before I can get this, I'm gonna need to get myself an Abyssal Warfare Key, which means we need to now fight some Abyssal bosses, starting with the Abyssal Indom Rex. We managed to successfully kill this, kinda easy too, but then I heard this noise, and in between all of my Gigas was this pink glowing orb. I didn't know that happened. Yeah, this didn't happen when we were fighting any of the Celestials. Again, for the sake of science, I grappled up to the side of one of these walls and decided to shoot down to see if it could hit me from up here. Not that I could actually knock this thing out or tame it, I just don't have the required kibble for it, but I wanted to see if this would work. I guess here is your answer. Bro, I got sniped, bro. I don't know exactly why I did this, but I returned back to the Spectral Indominus Rex just to see how much torpor we could do with the gun. It doesn't look like much, but this is kind of promising. Knowing that we could deal this much torpor with just the gun might mean that we have options here. Obviously, if I could survive. Back in the boss fighting arena, we summoned in the Abyssal Broodmother boss, deleted that quite quickly, followed quickly by the Abyssal Dodo Reaper boss, which surprisingly went down even quicker than the Broodmother. But another freaking Havoc spawned in again. This is the second boss fighting arena, and having Havocs in both sides kind of makes fighting bosses a little bit difficult. My subscriber Mitch ended up making his own little boss fighting arena in this cave, so I think we're going to utilize this in future fights if we need to. And by future, I mean the next day. Yeah, we're here fighting bosses right now. Starting with the Abyssal Mana Core, awful lot of smoke produced by a creature that's gonna die. Then we fought the Abyssal Drake. It also got deleted quite quickly. Next, we fought the Abyssal Karcha, you know, the big Karcha thingy. Again, we came out victorious quickly, and I believe we have defeated all of the Abyssal bosses that we need to for now. I checked what we needed to craft the Abyssal Warfare Key, and all we need to do is fight the Abyssal Element boss to get the Abyssal Element, obviously. I'm gonna need a boss fighting arena to be able to summon it in, so I figured YOLO, let's try and fight this Havoc Indom and see if we can defeat it. Honestly, this was a pretty damn tough fight, but we managed to hold on. One of my biggest concerns was the Indominus Rex ultimate attack. It has a large AoE reach, and this boss boss fighting arena seems big for the most part, but it's really not in these type of fights. All I knew is that I just had to keep moving and hope for the best we were actually doing enough damage to kill it. I didn't have time to look back, and whenever I did to check its health, it got a little bit hairy. My stamina was running kind of low, but I had a friend come in to help me out, just so I could escape, power down, and regain my stamina. Then I'd get back into the fight. Final stretch. This Indom let off a massive explosion and almost killed us, but at the same time, it died. That was a pretty crazy fight considering all we wanted was to clear this place out so we could fight a different boss. Day 79 and we came to fight a Celestial Element. Yes, you heard me correctly, the Celestial Element. Not the Abyssal one. I'm just here helping out Vanny. This is Vanny's fight. Since Vanny's been helping me out so much, I wanted to make sure I helped out in their fight. Honestly though, Vanny's Dodo Reapers are stupidly overpowered. They melted the heck out of this Celestial Element. I don't even think I was helping at all. And now I kind of wish that I got myself these Dodo Reapers as well. They're stupidly powerful. Maybe it's something I'll look into in the future. Anyways, it's now time to prepare for my fight. I don't have a massive army on me, but we're gonna try our best. Like, I'm so damn desperate that I'm bringing my Devilish Phoenixes with us. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel to try and defeat this guy. I'm bringing everything that I got. Anyways, there it is, the Abyssal Element. I sent in my first wave of dinos to try and attack and fight. They were getting messed up. My whole screen was completely orange and I couldn't see anything. Once it all cleared, all of my dinos were gone. They were all dead. Everything. All the rocks on the ground, dead. I just went and full sent it. Tried my best to just keep fighting it as I could. I was kind of stuck on something and couldn't move and don't really know what was happening. We were doing a ton of damage. The screen went orange and we died. And it was fuck. I returned and I begged Vanny to come and help me out. He brought a bunch of Dodo Reapers, so I felt kind of confident. As I was placing the Celestial Shield on my Rock Elemental, all the Dodo Reapers went in and they were wrecking this boss. But then we got arked. It seems like we had crashed the server. That's a server crash! When I finally managed to log in, I was still alive. How? I have no idea. I tried to find sanctuary in this corner, and once it cleared, go back to fighting? There was no point. The thing had fully healed. We had lost all of that progress. Day 81, and we have a whole terminal full of these ancient Giga eggs. This army is going to help us take over the world. Not really. I mean, we're going to just fight some bosses. But first, we got to wait for the babies to grow up, which means we're going out to kill things. This isn't us just wasting time, though. We do need to farm Celestial and Abyssal energies. We then stumbled across this Spectral Indom stuck inside this cave. If I put some gates up there, some tech gates, I could sit there and just snipe the hell out of it. Now, that does sound like a pretty good idea. Too bad I got a little bit hasty and threw a rock at its butt, which then brought it outside and started fighting us. We were on our Celestial Rock Elemental, so I figured let's just give this a go and see if we can defeat it. Spectral creatures have a certain ability that when they hit you, it pushes you quite the distance away. Sometimes this is a good thing, gives you a chance to reset so you can get back into the fight easily. Sometimes it can be a disadvantage because it also gives the Spectral Indom time to regain its health. Because our Celestial Rock Elemental has the Celestial Armor, I would say that is the biggest reason on why we have survived so long against this Spectral Indom. So long, in fact, we actually defeated it. To celebrate this win, my Twitch chat decided to name this Rock Elemental Frederick. Now, since defeating the Spectral Indominus Rex, we now have enough Spectral Element to be able to make 3 kibble. Day 82 starts with us cooking up some magical potions. Well, health potions. We need health potions because we're about to fight a big boss. Now, we're not fighting the boss in the boss fighting arena. Instead, we're going to fight the boss right here. Now, why exactly would we fight here and not the boss fighting arena? Well, basically, I want to set them up in different waves. The boss fighting arena is just not big enough for us to be able to do this correctly. And if I set up these ancient Gigas in different waves, we can send in different waves in between the ultimate attack of this boss. Now, which boss are we going to fight? The Abyssal Element. I began summoning in the Abyssal Element, and once it spawned in, I sent in the first wave. Surprisingly, the first wave did so damn well, we already took out half of its health. I then sent in our second wave, but I think I timed it kind of poorly. A lot of my creatures were getting quite wrecked, but then I went in to go and attack and defeated the Abyssal Element. Yep, we won. Now that we had defeated the Abyssal Element, we have everything we need to be able to make the Abyssal Key and the Celestial Key, so we can now summon in the Swamp Master, who will hopefully be our saving grace so we can tame ourselves a Spectral or Havoc creature. And the only way to tame one of these things is to first defeat it. With this being a tier 5 boss, we already know this is going to be quite tough. We had a whole army go into this fight, and most of them are gone already. Oh, you need to have the shield to deal damage to tier 5? No way, dude. Yes, it was midway through this fight that I realized the only way that you can deal damage to tier 5 bosses is if you have a Celestial or Abyssal shield equipped to your certain dino, which means a whole army of ancient Gigas is basically useless. I can only fight this thing one-on-one with my Celestial Rock Elemental, which proved rather quickly to be quite tough. At times, I'd have to duck away, find a nice little safe corner so I could recharge my stamina. Thankfully, it didn't heal up too much and we could get back into the fight. This epic boss battle dragged on for quite a while, while, I realized the best strategy for me was to try and stay behind it and keep slamming the ground. It didn't have any attack that would shoot backwards, so I just kept circling around it because it had one single attack that kind of like shot in like a V shape. If it hit me directly, I was surely dead. But our patience and persistence paid off, and we finally defeated the Swamp Master. After defeating the Swamp Master, this spawned in, which is tameable. The spyglass is telling us that it's a passive tame, so I quickly jet back home, make up some Spectral kibble, then approach it to try and passive tame it. Yep. Can confirm, passive tame does not work. Now the tricky part, we've got to try and figure out a way to actually knock this thing out. 3 million torpor, this might be tricky. I wasn't sure if it could snipe me from up here, so I was hoping this would work. Yep. I'm gonna have to think of something quite creative to be able to figure that one out. Anyways, from defeating the Swamp Master, we got a new set of armor. It makes us run really fast, among other things. The Swamp Master's torpor was dropping rapidly once again. I tried to passive feed it again. Maybe I did something wrong earlier. It wasn't working. I noticed it can't shoot low, so I found a nice and safe low location, started circling around it to try and knock it out, and for the most part, this was working quite well. That was until it would get that one little shot off and wreck me. Next, I brought over my Ascended Poison Drake. Maybe this could help us knock it out. It got sniped and one shot out of the sky. I was determined to tame this, confident that this would change our game for the better. I ended up getting a little bit of backup. Mr. Pineapples came to help me out with this one. He had already tamed himself a Swamp Master, so this kind of helped. This still came with its challenges though. Mr. Pineapples was risking everything. If he lost his Swamp Master, it would have set him back quite a bit. Between the both of us, we were doing quite a bit of torpor, and after a little bit, we finally knocked out this Swamp Master. I then fed it its juicy Spectral kibble and a hungry potion, and it was now tamed. This should hopefully open us up to be able to tame ourselves a Spectral or Havoc creature. It's now day 84, but before I can even think about taming a Havoc or Spectral creature, I need the resources to be able to make the kibble. And currently, there's no Havocs or Spectrals on the map. We need to try and force one to spawn in. We eventually found one, this level 160 Havoc Rex. I had a few of these ancient Gigas with me, so I sent them in to start attacking. The Havoc Rex destroyed them with this one single explosion. So then it was just me in this 1v1 situation. The thing is, because this Havoc Rex killed my ancient Gigas, its own strength increased. You see this Havoc value and max value? They gain this by killing creatures, making this thing pretty tough to beat. Sorry, let me rephrase. Making this thing impossible to beat. I had to fly back to the location. Although I can get my stuff from the personal gravestone, I need the celestial armor. The Havoc Rex wasn't happy that I was there and decimated my Phoenix. Later, Phoenix. That sucks for you. It's been a little while, but one of our flyers that we do have left is Charles. He's an OG, so we're going to fly around on him for a little bit. Day 85 and a change of plans. We're back in the boss fighting arena because I need to fight a Celestial Element. Again, I need to make more of those Celestial Warfare keys. I asked some friends to help me fight this thing. Bringing this creature over here made this fight quick and easy. I also needed to fight a Celestial Titanosaur as well. Now, why exactly did I need to get another Celestial key? Well, that's so I could summon my very own Dying Light. I know I had previously said I want to try and tame myself a Havoc or Spectral. That was the plan. But after speaking to some people in the community, they highly suggested I considered trying to get myself this Dying Light. Similar to the Swamp Master, this is a tier 5 boss, which means I can only fight it if I'm wearing my Celestial Shield. I stood here just slamming the ground, and this seemed to be working quite well. We managed to knock out half of its health already, and then it dropped its ultimate attack, and everything changed from there. What is that move? When I returned this time, I whipped out my Swamp Master, knowing very well that my Swamp Master can actually deal damage, and it was much stronger than my Celestial Rock Elemental. This was risky because I didn't want to lose the Swamp Master. It was already hard enough as it was to tame. We managed to deal quite a bit of damage, but at times I just tried to get a bit of distance so I could shoot at it, but that would also give it time to heal back up. Fighting a lot of these late game bosses can be extremely tricky and also comes with a lot of risks. I couldn't bear to lose this Swamp Master, so I just had to put it away, then rethink my strategy. I was running kind of low on health potions, so I went back to base to stock back up. I returned back to the Dying Light with my Swamp Master. It's really the only option I have, I think. I also now have a better understanding of how the Swamp Master's attacks work. And I knew whenever the Dying Light would use this attack, I just had to use that time to escape, because if I stood right there, it would wipe me out. I'd find myself in a comfortable location, and because Swamp Master is a ranged attacker, I could get back into the fight quickly. This fight dragged on to day 86, and we were just about to defeat this boss. Only a sliver of health left. We took out the Dying Light boss. From here, a tameable version of the Dying Light spawned in. But this comes with a unique taming method. If you want to tame the Dying Light, you need to consume this feather. Challenges Dying Feather. This allows you to challenge this Dying Light, and if you defeat it, the Dying Light becomes yours. After defeating the Dying Light, I went to check to see what loot dropped. We got some pretty decent armor pieces that we could change out, and this tech rifle rifle. But who cares about a fancy new tech rifle? We have a freaking dying light. To skip the hassle of leveling this thing up, I shoved some XP potions down its throat, which gave it 77 more levels. That I pumped a few levels into its health, and basically the rest of it into its melee. Now the moment of truth. Is this thing really strong to be able to help us through? Its AoE attack is pretty damn deadly, but how does it hold up against all these swamp demons? Pretty damn decent if you ask me. Now the ultimate test. Can it defeat a Havoc Rex? There was 2 in this vicinity. Which one are we going to fight? I decided to choose the Havoc Rex that we fought earlier that wrecked us. Looking back at this was a pretty stupid idea. Oh yeah, this one's still buffed. Yes, this one was still buffed, so it would absolutely wreck me. My vision was blocked and the screen went all crazy. I died. We had lost our dying light. We had worked so hard to tame that thing. Now I was more determined than ever to tame myself a Havoc or Spectral Dino. I found another Spectral Indom in the redwoods and began fighting this thing. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Yes, keep coming. I wanted to kite it out to the water. I always feel safer by the water. And from here, I just ran it up and along the beach, fighting it as best as I could and doing my best to avoid one of its big attacks. Also, sometimes I had to run away really fast so I could recharge my stamina. This is why I like the water. I could get farther enough away that it couldn't catch up to me quick enough, which would give me enough time to recharge my stamina to get back into the fight and finish it off. Day 87 and we're trying to make another Havoc spawn, which luckily we managed to do quite quickly. It was this Havoc Indominus Rex. Again, I just tried to kite it out to the water. I am about to get nuked, but water. Not that this helps, but it just gives me a speed advantage. Unless I fall down here. Fuck. We may have fallen down, but we made our way back eventually. The Indom was stuck in the water, so I went in and started attacking. Havocs are a lot different to Spectrals. Their ultimate attack hurts a lot more. This fight would drag on for quite a while. Like I've mentioned earlier, in this mod, you have to remain cautious at all times. We had been in this fight for so damn long by now. Then my chat told me that the Havoc Indominus Rex is probably the toughest creature of its tier. And this being a pretty high level, I decided to just leave this and maybe we'll come back to tame this. After all, that's kind of our goal for now. Taming one of these Havocs. We ended up finding a Havoc Dodo Reaper, and this was much easier to cheese. You see, Reapers don't like water at all. For example, this particular one, if I just stood directly underneath it, it can't attack me, and it doesn't swim. Is this cheesing it a little bit? Yeah, probably, but I don't give a damn. This is ARK, and sometimes we gotta do what we gotta do. This still took us a long damn time. I mean, right now it's day 88, and we only just managed to kill it. Killing that Dodo Reaper gave us enough of these elements that I should be able to make 3 Havoc kibble. So with my Swamp Master, we went back over to the redwoods to hunt down this Havoc Rex. Now, the moment of truth, I shot at the Havoc Rex with my Swamp Master, and before I could tell exactly how much damage we did to it, I had to make a quick escape. Once I could finally turn around and check, the Havoc Indominus Rex's torpor had fully drained. I had lost faith in the Swamp Master. I remembered I got this tech rifle and thought maybe it can work as like a tranquilizer thing. I tested it out on some creatures in the redwoods, and honestly, the tier that you get this at, this isn't very good at all. Next, I came up with a harebrained idea. What if we trap this Indom Rex in a trap, just like you would in any vanilla playthrough? Then maybe I can shoot it and knock it out. This is easier said than done though. I got a little bit too close and it deleted me. I was experimenting with other ways to tame this thing. Tried using the Swamp Master once again, this time using the water to my advantage. But this doesn't work too well. The Indom Rex's torpor drains too quickly and we can't afford to be in its vicinity. The Havoc Indom would absolutely wreck us. In the end, I had to give up on this idea and I returned to the idea of trapping it in between these rocks as well. Day 89 and we began setting up this trap using only the descended tech building pieces. We got the small gates down the front to lock it in and these behemoth gates we're going to use to kite it through. Here's the tricky part. I need to get the Havoc Rex's attention and kite it into the gates without myself dying. Now I could be riding a dino, but I just didn't want to risk losing anything right now. Turns out I could hide behind these gates. Now to get this thing in there. I died, but did we lock it in? When I returned on Charles, we confirmed it was locked inside our trap. I then got out my Swamp Master and began shooting at it with its torpor attack. Unfortunately, the rate of fire on the Swamp Master is pretty trash. I had Mr. Pineapples here helping me out, but by some miracle, the Indominus Rex got out of the trap and started munching my butt. Once I escaped, I managed to find the problem. If you walk up the angle of this rock, you can actually just pop out over the top of the gates. It's okay though, it was a pretty easy fix. We just placed another gate in there. Oh, also, and I don't exactly know why this happens, but the Swamp Master can walk through the gates. We managed to re-trap the Indominus Rex in our trap and continued trying to knock this thing out. Going into first-person mode was kind of interesting, I guess. Still, the rate of fire on this thing sucks. For how much work you have to put into taming the Swamp Master, I thought it would have been a bit better than it is. Anyways, thankfully, with the help of Pineapples, we managed to successfully put this Havoc Indominus Rex to sleep. Got it! I fed it its required kibble and a hungry potion, and voila! We now have our very own Havoc Indominus Rex. With this now locked in, I quickly raced back to base so I could make a saddle for the Indominus Rex. Then I ran into another problem. I need some more of these Havoc orbs so I can craft it. So we're back in the wilds trying to hunt down another Havoc creature, or at least make one spawn. But whilst we were out here, we saw this. Chat? Dog, I thought you died. Funny story that. Turns out when I died earlier whilst I was riding my dying light, only I died off the back. It survived. Now this was quite the miracle. Just to confirm there was no bug or something happened or trying to figure out exactly what happened, I went through the try blog and yeah, the dying light actually never died. Day 90 and we only have 10 days remaining in this challenge. But still so much left to do. It's clear to me right now that I'm not going to be able to finish and complete this entire mod, but I still want to get as far as possible. And to begin with, right now, I need to kill this Havoc Rex. I need me some Havoc orbs. Our Dying Light massive AoE explosion attack helps us out a lot in this situation. I drop it and run around in circles, making sure this Havoc Rex is lit up the entire time. This would then keep us out of trouble and it in a lot of trouble, ultimately leading us to our victory. Did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. And now we finally have a saddle for the strongest creature we have ever tamed. It's now time to put this thing to work. You may have noticed this Havoc progression bar. You see, once you get this Havoc progression to 100%, your Havoc Dino will then turn into the ultimate version of itself. Now, the only way to get this thing to 100% is to kill non-boss creatures that have a massive health pool. Pretty much only celestial and abyssal creatures. I tested this out on lower level creatures. Now, although it does help, their health pool is so damn low that it's really not worth it. Next up, I fought this Celestial Megapithecus and learned a really harsh lesson. No, 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 no! This was devastating. I worked so hard to tame that Havoc Indominus Rex. To lose it in a matter of seconds hurts a lot. I was streaming at this time and I was so frustrated I flew back to go pick up the saddle from the Indominus Rex. Then I logged off for the day. I was completely tilted. Day 91 and I returned to the game of ARK. I still have 10 days left of this challenge, so we gotta suck it up and get to work. At the end of the day, I need to tame myself another one of these Havoc creatures. But to be able to tame one of it, I need some more Havoc orbs, which means I need to kill another one of them. Now this Havoc Dodo Reaper was right next to water. I was trying my best to get it stuck in the water, you know, just like how we did it earlier. This was a little bit harder than expected. They won't just walk into the water. The last time we got it stuck, it fell into the water from jumping off one of the sides of the cliffs. After a little bit of time though, we got it stuck in the water. Then I just got myself underneath it and started biting its butt. And we just stayed here clicking like crazy until we defeated it. But once it went down, I wanted to test out a theory. If I use my descended tool, will I get more resources? Yes, we got a whole bunch of Havoc orbs. Way more than we needed. Now we can finally make some Havoc kibble. But before we even think about taming anything, I want to make sure I have the best sniper possible. Wanted to try and get it as strong as possible because I kind of figured this was going to be the best way for us to be able to tame something. We got the weapon damage up to 1000. This is a pretty good upgrade. Day 92, we checked the Dino scanner to see if there was any Havoc Dodo Reapers on the map. We chose the Dodo Reaper located in this location. I figured it might be a little bit easier to get him in the water if I can kite him off the side of this cliff. I also considered jumping off this side of the cliff, but it's such a long drop, I didn't know what to expect once we got to the bottom. There he is. Now it's time to just get him to follow me over the side of this cliff. Long drop down to the waterfall, but we got it stuck in the water. Only thing is, I don't know if this is deep enough to really affect it. I got some distance away from it, which was on the other side of this waterfall. I could still see it through the waterfall, but as I started shooting, I didn't land one hit. I managed to find an angle on the other side, and this seemed to work. We were at such a distance, it wasn't attacking. I don't understand this mechanic or how it's working, but I'm grateful it is. We had pretty much confirmed that Dodo Reapers definitely do not like water. I think it's a Reaper thing in general, to be honest. I think we used almost 400 bullets, but we finally got this thing to sleep. We had now tamed ourselves a Havoc Dodo Reaper. In the Descended Smithy, I made this Havoc Dodo Reaper imprint. It's basically like armor or a saddle. You don't actually need a saddle to ride the Dodo Reaper, but it's always handy to have armor. Especially as you guys noticed before, these Havocs can get wrecked pretty quickly. Anyways, using the upgrade bench, I went and upgraded it as much as I could, which wasn't too much. It was kind of expensive to upgrade. So instead, I made this augment station that's a part of the upgrade station mod and augmented this saddle to increase its armor value as well. All the way up to 435 armor points. I don't know if this is going to help, but I'm sure it will in some way. I really plan on getting this Havoc progression all the way up to 100%, and we need to get to work. We learned a pretty harsh lesson last time. This time, my goal is to just lay down the heat and kill these strong creatures quickly without them being able to touch me. I basically just went around the entire map trying to kill as many of these abyssal and celestial creatures as possible. I then wanted to test this thing out against the Havoc Dodo Reaper. Because my Dodo Reaper has a long range attack, I stayed in the water and just shot from here, knowing very well this Dodo Reaper wouldn't come and chase me. This was a pretty effective strategy on keeping myself safe, but oh lord, did this take a long time to kill. Then, to make things even worse, once we finally did kill it, it didn't affect our Havoc progression at all. Yeah, Havoc and Spectral creatures are considered bosses, and bosses don't affect your progression. This was a waste of time, kinda. At least we learned something. Anyways, we spent literally the rest of this day farming our Havoc progression. Day 95 and we're 53% of the way through of our Havoc progression. This day was a pretty long day, but by the end of the day, we were at 93%. So we're almost there. Day 96 and we're at 95% Havoc progression. Because we've been killing so many Celestials and Abyssals, they're kind of hard to find. And we have to wait for them to spawn back in sometimes. Then all of a sudden we hit 99% and it wouldn't click over to 100%. We kept killing Celestials and Abyssals, but nothing seemed to happen. At the time, I honestly couldn't figure it out. It should just evolve. I checked the stats, nothing had changed. Maybe it just does it. I dismounted, took a look at it, and as I got closer, it just changed. We now have the ultimate Havoc Dodo Reaper. Its colors changed a little bit. Its eyes are flaming, but hasn't made much of a difference in power. Let's find out. Test it out against this Havoc Rex. I used its ultimate attack and it was way bigger than I expected. This Celestial and Abyssal lasted seconds. No idea what happened to the Havoc Rex earlier, but we found this one. And this is in a large open area, so at least we could run around and try and avoid getting hit. We were doing some pretty serious damage towards this Havoc Rex. I was so scared to lose my Dodo Reaper, especially after all the work we did to turn it into the ultimate version. Attack-wise, our Dodo Reaper is pretty damn deadly. We had just defeated this Havoc Rex. I was feeling pretty damn invincible after that. Day 97 and we have 3 days left of this challenge. And to finish this challenge off, I want to defeat the Galaxy Dragon, which is basically the big boss of the tier 5 bosses. In order to do so though, I need to defeat all of these Abyssal bosses once again, so that I could make the Abyssal Warfare Key. Also, these Abyssals are painful. It summoned in another Havoc Indominus Rex, which we avoided fighting for a while. The last boss out of these Abyssals that we got to fight was the Abyssal Element. To avoid having to fight the Havoc Indominus Rex, I just got the bosses to come into this little hole with us. This was a little bit sketchy because obviously the Abyssal Element is damn strong, but I was just laying down all of my firepower and I noticed my health bar wasn't really being affected too much, if at all. Double confirming that the Dodo Reaper was the best choice for us at this point of the game. This is my favorite boss fighting arena, and I wanted to get rid of this Indominus Rex. So I thought I'd just place it in a little trap in this corner right here and use my Dodo Reaper's ranged attack to take it out. Of course, I could have just fought it out in the boss arena, but as you guys already know, it's really not worth taking any unwanted risks. I have no need for this Havoc Indominus Rex, and killing it doesn't do anything, so it's not worth the risk of trying to kill it in a stupid way. Anyways, with it gone, we can now fight some Celestial bosses, but looks like we're gonna have to move after we kill this one. I ain't fighting no Spectral Dodo Wyvern. Day 98, we're in the other boss fighting arena, but this time in just one of these little corner places. I need to get myself a Celestial and Abyssal Warfare Key, well, a couple of them, so that I could summon in the next War Chief bosses. The next boss being Paradox, the Ultimate Lizard. I brought this rock elemental with us and placed a celestial armor on it so it can at least do some damage. It charged in and started attacking this beast, but got wrecked kind of quickly. This made me kind of nervous, and then to make things even worse, Paradox healed up pretty much straight away. I lost that rock elemental for no reason. In the end, I just had to suck it up and begin fighting, hoping very well that my ultimate Dodo Reaper could hold up in this fight. We were doing quite a bit of damage. I was surprised that we were doing so well. We had proven to ourselves that this ultimate Dodo Reaper is a beast. Like, look at that. We just absolutely melted this creature because it was in close range of our ultimate attack. With this, I knew I just had to get close and finish Paradox off. Yeah, we beat his ass. Now that we had defeated Paradox, we can actually tame him. Well, kind of. We don't actually tame him, we kind of create him. But I need Abyssal and Celestial keys once again. Be right back, killing Celestial bosses again. Okay, now we have finally tamed this beast. It's called Skyon of Ultimate Lizard. I fed it some large XP potions. Again, I just can't be bothered leveling. Pumped a bunch into its melee, a little bit into stamina, and went out to go test its abilities. This place right here is my favorite place to test abilities. There's so many strong creatures, you can really see how strong it really is. Its fire breath is pretty damn deadly in all of these ones. It also has a damage reflection as well, and it has the Karchar ability that allows you to get extra damage the more things you kill. We fought this ancient Bronto, and it lasted seconds. Then we fought this Celestial Megapithecus and Abyssal Dodo Reaper. They were melted within seconds as well. The crazy part is, I wasn't getting damaged at all, really. Then this Spectral Rock Drake spawned in, and these guys are the ultimate test. We were wrecking the hell out of this Spectral Rock Drake. The best part was, we weren't receiving that much damage against us. This Ultimate Lizard is an absolute weapon of a creature. We took down that Spectral Rock Drake super easy. Day 99, we spent a large chunk of this day killing a lot of things in the wild. It was super satisfying finally feeling somewhat invincible and not fearful of anything in the wild. It's almost time that we fight the Galaxy Dragon, But before we do, I wanted to get rid of this Spectral Dodo Wyvern in my favorite boss fighting arena. I'm pretty confident we can defeat this, but it's still a flyer, so fighting these things can be kind of annoying. Also, fighting things at nighttime with these special abilities sometimes makes it hard to see. My goal was to try and get it stuck in one of these little cracks here. This way we could melt it and defeat it, and finally clear out our favorite boss fighting arena so that we could summon in the Galaxy Dragon. It's now day 100 and the final day of this 100 days challenge. Even though we cleared out the other boss fighting arena, this boss fighting arena is much bigger, and the Galaxy Dragon's attacks are pretty big and brutal, so I think having more space might be better. I brought all of my best creatures to this fight. Well, basically the only creatures that can actually deal damage to the Galaxy Dragon. We have our Dying Light, our ultimate Havoc Dodo Reaper, the Swamp Master, a Celestial Rock Elemental with the Celestial Armor, and Skyon of the Ultimate Lizard. I placed in all the required items to be able to summon in this massive boss and began summoning him in. It's kind of expensive to summon him in as well. On a side note, this dragon is known to crash your entire PC and server, so this fight could get kind of interesting. I whistled all of my creatures to go in and fight. They started laying down some damage. I tried to keep myself in a safe distance so I could use my ranged attacks, but I realized my ultimate attack is probably our best option in this situation. It was kind of hard to see what was going on, but I tried my best to keep involved in the fight. A bunch of my creatures have already fallen, but again, my ultimate attack is just super deadly. I couldn't actually tell who was still fighting out of my creatures. I saw damage numbers, so I assumed something was still alive. Dying Light. Dying Light is down. Dying Light is down. Our Dying Light fell, but it looked like we have done a ton of damage. My ultimate Havoc Dodo Reaper was doing most of the work. Our Swamp Master was still alive as well. The Galaxy Dragon dropped its big ability. We dropped our ultimate ability too, and I noticed we weren't hitting anything. I looked around, and the Galaxy Dragon had disappeared. We didn't get any resources or drops or engrams from it. I was pretty confused at this point. Then I looked at the chat box. The Dino Wipe wiped the Galaxy Dragon. That's not how the Dino Wipe is supposed to work. If you're engaged in combat, it shouldn't wipe. But that is ARK for you. What can we expect? It is what it is. Either way, we were going to win that fight, so I'm going to count that as a W. Guys, I want to give a massive shout out to all the people that support me, my Patreon members, Twitch subscribers, and YouTube members. Please, if you did enjoy this video, hit that like button and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Whilst you're here, hit the link to this next video. Trust me, you'll love it. Until next time, peace.